Ming Yu decides to end the fight. Under his control, the roulette began to rotate at a high speed, drawing out a series of light blades. These light blades were extremely sharp, and they flew in the direction of no longer cutting with lightning speed. Zai Buzhan bit his tongue with his teeth, hoping to stimulate his power zone with this pain. This is already unknown how many times he has used the beheading sword, but this time, he missed the light blade. The countless light blades are like a group of ferocious beasts, eating away at his flesh and blood. A moment later, Zai Buzhan was on the verge of falling, and he no longer had the strength to support him to stand, and slowly fell to the ground. "I'm so tired, I really want to sleep," Zabuzan said softly. This battle has drained all his energy. He closed his eyes and fell asleep forever. "Although I don't appreciate your death-defying attitude, you are indeed a respectable opponent," Mingyue said only after confirming that the enemy was not breathing. All of a sudden, stars fell from the sky, and they happened to see the scene where Zai Buzhan fell down. "Still haven't caught up," Fan Xing said with some regret. "Why did you come back so soon? Have you killed all the escaped ninjas?" Mingyue asked. "Don't mention it. Those ninjas are very cunning. Knowing that I was chasing them, they even ran away separately, so I released my little stars and let them chase instead of me," Fan Xing explained, complaining. "I know this will save trouble, but accidents are easy to happen," Mingyue said lightly. As Fan Xing's elder brother, he understands the power of those little stars very well. Not only do they move fast, but they can also continuously emit yellow penetrating light rays. The lethality of those light rays. Very powerful. However, little Xingxing also has weaknesses. When he is far away from Fan Xing's control over him will be weakened a lot. In the back, even if little Xingxing found the enemy, Fan Xing would not be able to know the specific situation at the scene, and could only infer based on the vague traces. In other words, during this process, even if the enemy escaped, Fan Xing would not know about it. "Second brother, you can rest easy. Those ninjas are relatively weak. The only one who has passed is probably the guy with the big ninja knife just now. But he has been seriously injured, and he will definitely not be able to escape the pursuit of little Xingxing." Fan Xing patted his chest and said proudly. "Now that the matter has already happened, it may be too late to go to catch up." Mingyue did not continue to blame, but reminded his younger brother that he must not be so sloppy in the future. "Okay, it's getting late, we must go back as soon as possible," Mingyue said. Meanwhile, the outskirts of the forest. Changjuro exhausted a lot of hardships and finally ran outside the forest. He was already exhausted and fell to the ground. Although the little star didn't look very good, Changjuro had worked hard to get rid of his pursuit, otherwise he wouldn't be so tired now. "Changjuro, you are finally here," a ninja ran out from the dark and said excitedly. Are you okay? Have you met those stars?" Chojuro asked first. "I did, but I'm good at camouflage, and it didn't take long for me to throw the stars away," the ninja replied in shock. "Is there anyone else besides you?" Chojuro looked around while resting. Hearing such words, the ninja slowly lowered his head. He had arrived here half an hour ago and decided to wait for other companions here. But until now, he waited for Changjuro alone. As for the remaining companions, Tian Yubaju might have been killed by Xiao Xingxing. "We lost too many people in this mission." Chojuro looked sad. They haven't experienced such a big defeat for a long time. In the end, only the two of them were left in the team of a dozen people. Moreover, they all escaped from a near-death situation. If Changjuro was not lucky, they would not have escaped. Afterwards, the two of them closed their eyes with a tacit understanding, raised their hands, and mourned for those dead companions. "Then what should we do next? Should we continue to wait?" the ninja asked in a low voice. "Although I don't want to abandon our companions, we still shoulder a more important mission." Changjuro took a deep breath and said in a low voice. In the end, the two of them were reluctant to leave the forest. The ninja carried Chojuro on his back on the way to Kirigakure. The seeds of hatred had germinated in the hearts of the two of them. When their companions left, their first reaction was to be sad, but when the sadness was gone, incomparable anger would well up in their hearts. "I must kill those two fellows with my own hands. They killed so many of our compatriots, and this feud cannot be shared." Changjuro couldn't move his body, but he kept talking. "Master Qian Yu will definitely uphold justice for us. Soon, we will lead the army of kings to flatten that forest and kill all those damned enemies." The ninja also followed suit. I don't know how long it took before the two of them stumbled to Kirigakure. After going through all kinds of hardships, they were extremely excited when they came back again, and the ninjas on duty hurried over to ask them about their specific situation. Before Chongjuro and the ninja who was carrying him could recover, they fainted from exhaustion, and everyone hurried up to help them. The battle in the forest consumed them too much. They were able to return to the village only by relying on a breath of energy. After returning, this energy also dissipated. An hour later, in Kirigakir's ward, Chojuro was covered with bandages all over his body, lying on the bed. His face was very pale. He hadn't recovered from the battle in the forest, and he was still exhausted. At this moment, the door of the ward slowly opened, and a handsome man walked in. Lord Qian Yu. How come you came here in person? How can I take care of this? Chongjuro hurriedly wanted to get up and go up to greet him. You are weak, so lie down well, and I'll come and see you, Qian Yu said lightly. Chongjuro, are you alright? I just heard the news, but it frightened me. The next second, Terumi Mei, who was standing behind Qian Yu, rushed over quickly and came to the bed. Thanks to Master Qian Yu and you, I'm still alive. Chongjuro smiled bitterly. Why are only the two of you back? Why don't you kill them again? Are they still carrying out their mission? Terumi Mei asked quickly. They all. Chongjuro said, his tone choked up, and he was still unable to say the word death. Seeing Chongjuro's expression, Qian Yu and Terumi Mei quickly understood. Qian Yu was fine, but Terumi Mei seemed more and more distressed. Zabuzon had been with him for a long time, and he was also a very reliable subordinate, but it was such a person who just died. Senior Buju went away to cover me, and held the enemy by himself. Although I didn't see him die with my own eyes, I'm afraid it's too bad. Chojuro said sadly. What exactly have you experienced? Who was the enemy you fought with? Qian Yu asked immediately. Ever since, Nagata fully described the energy of this most of the day. What? Those two people have the power of the moon and the power of starlight respectively. Qian Yu said in surprise. Based on his understanding of the Hokage world, there should be no two strong men with such power, so their identities are self-evident. They must be Chuyu's minions. Well, their base camp is deep in the forest, but we were attacked by them before we had time to investigate. Chojuro sighed. He finally fulfilled Zai Buzon's entrustment and successfully brought this important information to the village. You are all doing well, you have worked hard. Qian Yu patted Chongjuro on the shoulder lightly. At this moment, through the crack in the door of the ward, they heard movement outside. Wearing a light pink kimono, Minazuki Shiro walked over slowly carrying some fruits. Miss Bai, you are still so beautiful. Why did you come to the ward? Ha ha ha. I heard that the reconnaissance team is back. Come and see if you don't kill that guy. It's likely that he was seriously injured again. Shui Wuyubai's voice sounded. Although Shui Mu-Yu-Bai is Qian Yu's woman, she has a very good relationship with Zai Buzon. Lord Qian Yu, if we let Bai know the news of her death, she might not be able to bear the blow, otherwise we should keep it secret. Terumi Mei said in a low voice. No, it's better to tell the truth at this time, Yu said lightly. In the next second, Mizunazukabai pushed the door straight and walked in with laughter. You two are here too. And? Chojuro, are you the only one living in this ward? Then which ward do you live in? Minazuki Hiroshi said slowly. Chojuro buried his head very low, not daring to look directly at Minazuki Shiro in front of him. I'm talking to you. Why are you ignoring me? Could it be that the injury hurt your brain? Minazukabai continued. Ahem, Bai, only Chojuro and another ninja have come back from the team that went out this time. Qian Yu took a deep breath and said slowly. Huh. Then what if I don't cut it again? Mizumu Yubai obviously didn't think about death, because she subconsciously felt that if she didn't cut it again, she wouldn't die. No more heroic death in line of duty. Qian Yu looked into her eyes intently. The basket containing the fruit suddenly fell to the ground, and the fruit inside rolled out. I see, you guys are joking with me, right? Minazuki Bai was stunned for a moment, then said. This is your prank, right? I reckon Zabuzon might be hiding somewhere, and then run out suddenly when I'm sad. Shui Mu Bai kept talking, and began to become a little incoherent. Afterwards, Minazuka Bai began to look around in the ward, searching for every possible hiding place. And several other people in the ward lowered their heads tacitly, not knowing what to say. Okay. Don't continue to hide if you don't chop. Your camouflage skills are really getting better and better. Mizuna Yubai suddenly collapsed and sat down on the ground, tears streaming down uncontrollably. I admit defeat, you should come out quickly. Minazuka Bai continued. But still no miracle happened, and the ward was as quiet as ever, or it was terrifyingly quiet, as if a silver needle fell on the ground, you can hear it clearly. This feeling made the people present feel very suffocated. Shuimu Yubai could no longer restrain her emotions, huge teardrops quickly fell on the ground, she hadn't cried so loudly for a long time. In other words, since meeting Qian Yu, she has lived a very happy life, and has never been so sad like she is now. They originally wanted me to hide this matter from you, but I think it's unfair to you. Sometimes, sadness is also a part of life. We have to learn to accept it and obey it. Qian Yu enlightened slowly. However, after that, Shui Wu Yu Bai couldn't listen to these words, because she was deeply immersed in the pain of not dying. Well, to tell you the truth, I still have a way to revive Zabuzan. After all, Qian Yu still couldn't bear to continue provoking her, so he said. Hearing Qian Yu's words, Shui Mu Yu Bai stopped crying at a speed visible to the naked eye, and stared straight at him. This direct gaze made Qian Yu's scalp tingle instantly. He took a deep breath and said what the other party wanted to know most. Impure world reincarnation is a forbidden technique, you should know something about it. Qian Yu asked lightly. In the war some time ago, relying on the impure world reincarnation, their camp summoned all the Hokages of the ancestors, thus changing the general trend of the war. Could it be? Shui Wu Yu Bai became extremely excited. That's right, we can use impure world reincarnation to revive Zabuzan. Qian Yu said word by word. After being confirmed by Qian Yu, Shui Wu Yu Bai became agitated, and stretched out his palm to wipe away the tears that just fell. However, if you don't chop like that, it should be incomplete. Mizumu Yubai was not happy for a while, and then asked worriedly. You don't have to worry about this, as long as I get him out of impure world reincarnation, with the power of my 6 paths, I can completely resurrect him, Qian Yu said confidently. That afternoon, Kirigakure's top management gathered in the conference room to discuss countermeasures against Akazuki. The news of Zai Biyuzan's death has spread in the village. Although many people know that Qian Yu can bring Zai Biyuzan back to life, this cannot completely eliminate the influence of this matter in the hearts of everyone. Master Qian Yu, Zabuzan is a member of our 7 ninja swordsmen and our most important companion, please lead us to revenge righteousness in person no matter what. Dried Persimmon Kisame clenched his fist and said. The concepts of Ganshi Gisame and Zabuzan are very compatible, and after getting along with each other for a period of time, they have become very good. Yeah, if we can't kill those 2 guys with our own hands, it's really hard to solve the hatred in our hearts. Ghost Lantern Full Moon also said. Shui Wu Yu Bai nodded heavily upon hearing these words. Of course she also wanted to avenge Zabuzan very much. Qi Lu Qi. I can understand the anger in your hearts very well, but right now we still have little information. We only know that the enemy is hiding in the forest, and we don't know where the entrance is. Qian Yu said flatly. So we can't act too hastily now. We must wait until the intelligence is sufficient before sending a large number of troops, Qian Yu said. Qian Yu wasn't afraid of those 2 people who would kill them again, he felt that he could kill them with a light movement of his fingers. But beating a dog depends on the owner. For them, the biggest threat is Chuyue, the instigator of all this. So far, Qian Yu knows too little about Chuyue, and he doesn't even know what kind of ability the other party has. But judging from the current performance, it is definitely not an easy role to deal with. Just looking at the White Zetsu monster army is quite tricky. Qian Yu has reason to believe that Chuyue did not send all the White Zetsu monsters from Vice Admiral in the last operation. In addition, the dark organization controlled by Chuyue is also quite mysterious. Then what should we do now? Is it possible to sit here all the time? Chongjuro reached out and patted the table. His injuries have not fully recovered at this moment, and his body is wrapped in layer after layer of bandages. Even so, he strongly requested to come to the meeting. We should send another small team to carry out careful investigation, and avoid the enemy's sight, try not to contact them head-on. Qian Yu said lightly. I voluntarily apply for this assignment, me too. Members of the 7 ninja swordsmen expressed their opinions one after another, and their attitudes were extremely firm. Then listen to you, but I will add 2 more people on top of you, Hyuga Neji and Uchiha Sasuke. Qian Yu thought for a moment, then said. One of these 2 people has white eyes and the other has Sharingan, and they can play a great role in this mission. For Qian Yu's proposal, the members of 7 ninja swordsmen agreed. After the meeting, the 8 of them changed into combat uniforms, equipped with enough ninja tools, and left the village facing the night. Chongjuro. Why don't you go back first? Your injuries haven't fully healed yet. If you really encounter an enemy, it will be very difficult. Kanshi Kisame said while looking at Chongjuro intently. No, I'm the one who should go the most. My life will be saved if I don't kill it. How can I remain indifferent? Chongjuro said with firm eyes. Don't worry, everyone, I won't hold you back. The next morning, a fish belly appeared in the distant sky, and the sun rose, emitting a brilliant golden light, bringing light to the world. Sanagakure, the land of winds, is located deep in the desert. This ninja village was originally the weakest among the 5 great ninja villages, but under the leadership of Keisuke Gaara, the village presents a thriving scene. Moreover, the original Sanagakure did not have a ninja school, the number of ninjas was relatively small, and the overall combat effectiveness was insufficient. With the opening of the ninja school, the number of ninjas in Sanagakure is also increasing, but due to the lack of time, the number of elite ninjas is relatively small. Is what you said true? Don't kill yourself again? Gaara asked loudly with an unbelievable face. It's true, this is news from Hidden Village. Tamari replied without thinking. Gaara, who heard the news, sighed deeply. Although he didn't get along with Zabuzon very much, he knew that he was a very good ninja and loved his companion very much. Tamari, write a letter to Master Yu immediately, telling them that we are extremely sorry for the death of Zabuzu. If there is anything that can be used for us, please ask. Gaara stood up slowly. It's superfluous. There are so many masters in Kirigakure, no matter how we line up, we can't get it. Ju said a little discouraged. It's one thing to get us by chance, but it's another thing to express your heart. Gaara said very succinctly. Tamari immediately understood what his younger brother meant, and didn't say anything more. At this moment, 2 ninjas ran over in a hurry, looking hurried. Someone is approaching our village, the ninja reported. Huh? Is it an enemy? Tamari, who hadn't had time to write a letter, asked in surprise. After so many things happened, the ninja world has been reunified under Qian Yu's rule. Although there are still 5 major ninja villages, they still follow Qian Yu's order after all. In this case, there will be no wars between the villages at all. How many people are there? Gaara asked quickly. 1. It doesn't look like an enemy. If it's really an enemy, it's not just one person coming, it's as simple as that. Gaara analyzed with style. Among the 5 cages of ninja villages, Gaara's cage is the youngest and the least qualified. He also spent a lot of time learning how to become a competent cage, so at various times, he hopes to handle things in the most rational state. Don't be in a hurry to start. Find out who the other party is. What is the purpose of coming here? Gaara waved his hand. The ninja who got the order left quickly. Meanwhile, the Sanagakure pass. A man wearing a black coat and a mask walked towards this side step by step. Under the mask, everyone couldn't see his identity clearly. After a while, Yura, who was wrapped in a white scarf and her hair blocked eyes, walked over slowly. There are not many Jonins in Sanagakure, but Yura is one of the elite. Back then, he and his friend Baki elected Gaara to succeed 5th cage, and he naturally became the village's top management. This is Sanagakure. Who are you? Tell us your name and purpose quickly. If you don't cooperate, you will blame us for attacking you. You turned your eyes and looked at the mysterious man. This mysterious man is Hong's son under Chuyue, and he is the most powerful of the 3 brothers. As soon as the words fell, Hong Ri suddenly appeared in front of Yu Liang, clutching his neck tightly. During the whole process, Yu Liang didn't notice anything, and he also immediately understood the gap in strength between the 2 of them. Just because you dare to stop me, Hong's son said in a high-handed manner. But in the blink of an eye, several ninjas from Sanagakure came here, and all of them put on a fighting posture. Hurry up and put our captain down, or we will be rude, the ninjas shouted. How can you be rude? Hong's son dismissed this. In the next second, Hongri's body began to change color, it was hot red, and exuded intense heat. Yu Liang, who was grabbed by the neck by the red sun, felt extremely painful, as if she was in a sea of flames instantly. Seeing this situation, those ninjas finally couldn't bear it anymore, and quickly spit towards the red sun and launched an attack. Hong Ri just waved his hand casually, and then sent out a few strong hot winds, knocking all these ninjas into the air. You go to die too. Hong Ri glanced at Yura in front of her again. In a hurry, Yu Liang was ruthlessly thrown towards the distant stone pile by the red sun. Those stone pushes were fortifications built by Sanagakure, and the sharp corners were very sharp. At this critical moment, a ball of sand rose up from the ground and turned into a giant hand, holding Yura tightly. Master K's cage. People saw Gaara's figure. At this moment, Gaara is wearing a red dress, with a small plane made of sand on the sole of her feet, flying in midair. You should be from the Dark Organization, right? Gaara stared at the mysterious person and asked. I didn't expect our organization to be so famous now, even people in poor villages like you know about it. Hong Sun said arrogantly. What a big tone. You dare to mock our village like this. Do you want to fight against us alone? Gaara said calmly. For a rubbish village like yours, I'm giving you face by coming alone. Hong Sun said contemptuously. Yura, are you alright? The Scarlet Sand Scorpion quickly ran over and asked worriedly. At this moment, Yura has been rescued by Gaara's sand and placed on the safe ground smoothly. I'm fine. You must be careful about this guy. His strength is unfathomable. You must not underestimate the enemy just because he is alone, Yu Liang said solemnly. Don't worry, I will definitely avenge you, Scorpion said loudly. The previous Scorpion was a member of the Akatsuki organization, and they invaded Sanagakure with Deidara at the beginning, and the reason why they were able to invade smoothly was largely because the Scorpion played tricks in Yura's body. Afterwards, Scorpion was sent back to Sanagakure by Qian Yu. Not only did they not blame him, but they entrusted him with a heavy responsibility. This made Scorpio feel more guilty, regretting all the bad things he did before. Master K's cage, let me first try to see how much this guy weighs. Red Sand Scorpion suppressed the anger in his heart. Hearing his words, Gaara nodded slowly. In the next second, the Scarlet Sand Scorpion took out a scroll from behind, opened it, and Feng Chen was printed on it. As the Scorpion gently read the mantra, a puff of smoke rose from the scroll, and the third K's cage puppet came out of thin air. It is no exaggeration to say that Xie can be called the #1 puppet master in the ninja world. In this field, no one can match him. Countless flying thorns shot out from the puppet's body and flew towards the red sun. The scene was extraordinarily spectacular, like a downpour composed of flying thorns. Facing so many flying thorns, Hong Sun raised his right hand without panic, and the huge chakra emanated from his body, unexpectedly slowly materialized, forming a small sun. Under his control, the little sun kept spinning in front of him, turning into a shield, resisting the attack of the flying thorns. When all the flying thorns were shot, the little sun shot out bright rays of light, and launched a surprise attack on the position of the master Feng Ying puppet at an extremely fast speed. The Scorpion immediately pulled the chakra line, dodging the rays without any risk. Just when she thought she could breathe a sigh of relief, the little sun suddenly appeared behind the third K's cage puppet. Immediately afterwards, Little Sun launched a crazy attack on the puppet, hitting every part of his body. It's useless. The puppets I have developed are all made of the strongest iron and can be described as indestructible, the Red Sand Scorpion said without shame. But in the next second, he was slapped in the face, because the attack power of the Little Sun was too exaggerated, and his puppet was smashed to pieces with a seemingly light bump. The third K's cage puppet that accompanied him for decades was smashed alive by the enemy today. Seeing his masterpiece being destroyed, Xie felt more anger in his heart. In a blink of an eye, he took out a few more scrolls and summoned several puppets. However, these puppets were like a pile of paper in front of Hong Sun, and they were easily destroyed one after another. How many puppets do you have for me to destroy? Hong Sun laughed loudly. The Red Sand Scorpion was a little bit off guard by these words, and couldn't help breathing in, trying to adjust his emotions. Finally, he reached out and took off the coat he was wearing, intending to use the strongest secret technique. Red Secret Skill 100 Machines drilled this as his most powerful move. He once used this move to slaughter a country. Scorpion, that's enough, leave the rest to me. Gaara's voice suddenly sounded. Gaara didn't want the Scarlet Sand Scorpion to use that kind of move. Although that move was indeed very powerful, judging from the current situation, it seemed that the puppet couldn't be effective against this mysterious person. If it was the former Scorpion, he would definitely not obey other people's orders, but now he has fully integrated into the village, so after taking a look at Gaara, he stopped his movements. Let me be your opponent. Gaara quickly advanced several meters, looking down at the mysterious man. All of a sudden, the sand behind Hong Sun flew up and rushed towards Hong Sun. After this period of experience, Gaara's control over the sand is one step closer. Previously he could only control the sand mixed with chakra in his gourd, but now he can use that sand to drive ordinary sand. In other words, the strength of Gaara in the desert is infinitely magnified, and the sand that can be used can be called almost endless. However, Hong Ri is obviously not a vegetarian either. He seems to have a pair of eyes behind him, and he quickly dodges the attack of the sand with ease. You are the one playing with sand, your lady queen. Let me catch you, so I won't kill you, Hong Sun said in that arrogant tone. It felt like he could kill Gaara without breaking a sweat. At the same time, in the luxurious underground palace, Chu Yue was resting on a chair when she heard footsteps coming from the door. She opened her eyes and saw that it was the two brothers Fanxing Plus and Mingyue. Why are you here now? What were you doing just now? Chu Yu asked casually. My lord queen, we just went to see elder brother off. When we came back, we met a few little mice and played with them for a while, Mingyue reported. Little mouse? It's from Kirigakure, right? Did you kill them all? Chu Yue looked at the two of them. It should be all killed, Fanxing said in a low voice. What should be? Don't you know if you killed yourself? Chu Yue suddenly became angry. Chu Yu's anger scared the two brothers to their knees. It was the first time they saw her lady queen angry. There is also a reason for Chu Yue to be so angry, because the battle between him and Qian Yu has already started, and every next step must be extra careful. As far as she is concerned, this underground palace must not be discovered by Qian Yu in advance, otherwise it will disrupt many of her plans. In the end those guys ran away separately, and then I sent little Xingxing to catch up. Because the distance is too far, I don't have a clear perception of the battle situation over there. Fanxing stammered back. They are really two worry-free guys. Go out quickly and search for their bodies for me to see if you can match the number. If someone really runs out, you must tell me immediately. After finishing speaking, Chu Yue waved her hand, signaling them to go over quickly. The two obeyed Chu Yu's orders, obediently returned to the forest, and began to search for the corpses of those ninjas patiently. After spending an afternoon, they found many corpses one after another, but the thing that worried them most still happened. The number of these corpses was too fewer than the number of ninjas they had encountered before. Why didn't even the ninja who escaped at the beginning disappeared? Could it be that he really escaped? Mingyu's eyes flickered. What should I do? If Lord Chu Yue knows about this, I will be finished. Fanxing wept. If you want to blame, you can only blame yourself for being careless and getting me involved. Mingyue looked like she hated iron but steel. Forget it. Let's go back and return to our orders as soon as possible. No matter how angry Lord Chu Yue is, he probably won't kill you. At most, he will punish you, Mingyang said. Fanxing sighed. It was the only way to do it now. Soon, the two of them returned to the underground palace dejectedly, and when they saw Chu Yue, they knelt down respectfully on the ground. Looking at the appearance of you two, I know the outcome of the matter, Chu Yue said coldly. This matter is completely my own dereliction of duty. It has nothing to do with my second brother Mingyue. My subordinates let Master Chu Yue punish me without a single complaint, Fanxing said respectfully. Mingyue looked at the younger brother beside him with a look of surprise. He didn't expect that this younger brother would take all the faults on him. Although the appearance of those two fish that slipped through the net was Fanxing's fault, Mingyue was also partly responsible. But Fanxing took over all the faults at once, and Mingyue was very moved by such a move, and she sighed inwardly. My brother has finally grown up. My lord queen, that's not the case. I also have a very important responsibility for this incident. After all, Fanxing is still young, so it's impossible to think too carefully about things. If you really want to punish, then I will punish me. Mingyue thought for a moment, then said quickly. Just when Fanxing was about to continue to say something, Chu Yue suddenly stopped her. Forget it. Since you two are the first offender, I will let it go this time. If this kind of thing happens again in the future, I will kill you without hesitation. You have to be clear about one thing. I can create you, but I can destroy you naturally. Chu Yue unhurriedly raised her palms above her head and clenched her fists in front of the two brothers, which was a silent warning. In fact, Chu Yue seldom showed her strength to others, and even the three Hongri brothers who had the closest relationship with her knew little about it. But they can only be sure of one thing, that is, Chu Qi is far stronger than they imagined. Letting go of the two Kirigakure scouts is not a big deal in Chu Yu's mind. At most, she will be more careful in the future, and it is not worth punishing her men for such things. However, Chu Yue will not be ambiguous about the majesty that should be given. On the vast desert outside Sanagakure, Hongri stood there quietly, waiting for Gaara's next attack. He confidently thought that everything in the battle was under control, and if he wanted to, he would definitely be able to end the battle as quickly as possible. Then again, after finally getting out of the bottomless underground palace, Hong Ri didn't want to go back too soon, so he might as well play here for a while. In Hong Sun's eyes, Gaara and everyone else in Sanagakure are his toys for his entertainment. If Gaara knew what Hong Sun was thinking, he would definitely be extremely angry. It's really a boring battle, Hong Ri said with a sneer. In the next second, the red sun snapped its fingers, and the dazzling little sun flew up to the top of the dome and split. It didn't take long for the little sun to split into 6 identical individuals, each of which exuded powerful energy fluctuations and severe high temperatures. Sand shuriken. Gaara threw out a hand of sand and shouted loudly. Before understanding the opponent's full strength, Gaara still decided to simply test and test, so he used a simple trick. After the sand flew out of the palm, under the guidance of chakra, it combined into a sharp weapon similar to a shuriken, and shot towards the red sun at an extremely fast speed. Hong Sun still had a contemptuous look on his face. To him, this was nothing more than a child's play house attack. He didn't need to take a shot, and one of the little suns came to in front of him. The sand shuriken hit the little sun, and it was quickly melted into ashes, extremely domineering. It's really not painful. Is this the strength of Kazekage, the strongest of Sanagakure? It seems that your village is really the worst village. Hong Ri snorted coldly and said. These words greatly stimulated Gaara, causing a wave of ultimate anger to emerge from the depths of his heart. The original Gaara was a strange monster who didn't get close to others and even wanted to kill his relatives. Almost all the villagers regarded him as an out-and-out freak. At that time, Gaara was very world-weary and hated everything around him. He only lived for himself and took killing for pleasure. But after the baptism of so many things, he finally escaped from the shadow of the tailed beast Jinchuriki and welcomed a new life. Sanagakure has a very high position in his heart, and this is a place he must protect even if he sacrifices his life. You are not allowed to insult our village. Gaara was furious and roared hysterically. The ninjas at Sanagakure not far away, Tamari and the red sand scorpion were all stunned. They had never seen Gaara so out of control. The sand rose up, and under Gaara's anger, the entire battlefield was covered by flying sand all over the sky. The scene was particularly spectacular, and it was simply breathtaking. Are you finally going to get serious? I hope you don't let me down. Hong Sun said excitedly, being submerged in countless yellow sands. It's raining even when it's playing sand. Gaara clapped his hands, and the yellow sand covered the sky and the sun, like huge clouds. The scene was very grand. These clouds formed by the accumulation of yellow sand dropped a series of large round sand bullets, like machine guns, flying down overwhelmingly. The fastest falling sand bullets shattered the hard stone layer effortlessly, and the lethality was terrifying. Blazing light. Hong Sun looked at the group of sand bombs that flew down, and raised his arms high. The 6 little suns were docked in all directions of his body, showing a guarding posture. The 6 little suns emitted light at the same time. The light was scorching yellow, with extremely terrifying high temperature, which made people shudder. Sand bullets that touch the hot light dissipate at a speed visible to the naked eye. Gaara's proud attack was easily blocked by the enemy. Now it's my turn. Hong Ri blinked and said resolutely. In a short while, the 6 little suns moved with high frequency, generating waves of shock waves. Gaara didn't dare to be careless, and immediately used the sand armor, completely covering her body with a layer of sand attached to chakra. Those high-frequency shock waves fell on the barrier made of sand, causing a violent explosion. The ever-failing sand armor encountered Waterloo in life, falling off layer by layer, and was on the verge of being surrendered. Fortunately, Gaara has been inside to regulate a steady stream of sand to support the crumbling armor. To be precise, the sand armor is in the process of constantly being destroyed and being reshaped. However, this cannot change the fact that Gaara is at a disadvantage. You really know how to persevere. You are worthy of being called as a shadow, but what should you do next? Hong Ri said lightly. The 6 little suns quickly flew around Gaara, colliding with it constantly, with great force. These little suns are very hard. Although they are round, they are extremely sharp. The destructive power of this move is far better than the previous high-frequency vibration. At this moment, Gaara is very clear in her heart that it may be difficult to continue to resist with the sand armor alone. Ever since, Gaara used the defensive skill at the bottom of the box, Sand Shield. Under the protection of Mother Jaruluo, a sand defense with a hardness far exceeding that of steel was formed instantly. These sands can automatically form a barrier for Gaara, blocking attacks from all directions. Your defense method is really 5 flower 8 gate, Hong Sun said disdainfully. Afterwards, Red Sun quietly accelerated the attack speed of the 6 little suns. Thanks to his efforts, the speed of these suns could no longer be observed with the naked eye. Gaara's eyeballs kept rolling, and the sweat on his forehead could reflect his weakness from the side. Seeing his younger brother at a disadvantage, Tamari was extremely worried, his heart fluttered, and finally he decided to take a few steps back, called a sparrow, wrote the situation here into a letter, and made the sparrow fly to Kirigakure. The sand shield could no longer keep up with the sun's attack speed, and before it had time to form a shield, Gaara was hit, and the layer of sand skin on her body was also shattered. Hong Ri seized the opportunity, manipulated one of the little suns, and attacked with the speed of thunder. He was very sure that Song Wife's blow can hit Gaara, and it will definitely damage her severely. Under the successive attacks, Gaara was exhausted, just as Hong Sun expected. He could no longer withstand the next blow. I saw that little sun rushing over from Gaara's back, hitting Gaara's shoulder very precisely. However, the scene that Hong Sun wanted to see did not appear, and Gaara, who was hit by this blow, slowly turned into sand and dissipated in the air. Sand clone technique? You're lucky. On the soft desert, Gaara's eyes were facing the red sun obliquely behind him. Fortunately, he reacted in time just now and replaced his own body, otherwise the fate of the clone would be his fate. Shuhei, the enemy this time is no small matter. With my own strength, I am afraid it will be difficult to win. I need your strength. Gaara shouted loudly in the spiritual world. A gigantic monster emerged from the endless shadows, with strange black Madara stripes on its body, and the Shuhei, which was shaped like a bigger civet cat, slowly appeared. After the Ninja World War ended, Qian Yu sent one-tail Shukure to Sanagakure again. In the past 10 years of his life, Gaara's life has become a mess because of Shuzuru. But now he has reached a reconciliation with Shuzuru, and the relationship between the two of them has made good progress. Because of this, after some careful consideration, he still chooses to become One-Tail's Jinchuriki. Unlike before, this time becoming One-Tail Jinchuriki was his own decision. Ha ha ha, Gaara, when you begged me, my uncle showed mercy, and I will help you today. And he said very proudly. In a few breaths, Gaara suddenly felt full of energy, and the chakra lost in the previous battle was replenished by One-Tail's chakra. The Spear of the Crane. I Love Luo used the chakra obtained from Shuhei to mix the extremely hard minerals buried deep in the ground into the sand to form a very sharp spear. This move was developed by Gaara some time ago, and he called it the hardest and most absolute attack. I don't know what the reason is. Gaara always likes to define his moves as absolute. For example, the sand shield is defined by him as an absolute defense. If it was absolute, Gaara wouldn't have to seek Shukaku's help in such a panic. Gaara's veins bulged, aimed at the position where the red sun was, and threw the spear of guarding the crane in his hand with all his might. The spear of guarding the crane flew away with lightning speed, and its power was so powerful that it could squeeze the surrounding air. Finally came up with some decent moves, but what I want to tell you is that you are not only inferior to me in attack, but also in defense. Hongyu showed contemptuous eyes. The sun god's protection. As soon as finished speaking, the 6 little suns in the distance got his call, merged into a huge sun, flew behind him, and condensed a transparent protective cover for him. The spear of guarding the crane hit the transparent protective cover, sparking a lot of sparks, and also produced a sharp and ear-piercing sound. However, this hard spear was still unable to smash the protective cover of the red sun, and instead suffered a backlash, splitting apart in good condition. This guy is really tricky, Gaara. We have to go all out to gain a chance to directly into a full-tailed beast state. Shuhei slowly suggested. Gaara, without thinking too much, nodded in agreement. Now they are at the gate of Hidden Sand Village. Even if they enter the state of tailed beast, he doesn't have to worry about endangering innocent villagers. In the next second, Shukaku's chakra overflowed a lot, and Gaara's body also changed dramatically simultaneously. Unknowingly, Gaara's skin turned into a sand-like color, and many blue curse patterns grew on her body, and the features of keeping cranes became more and more obvious. About a minute later, the Shuhei, which was as huge as a hill, stood majestically in the vast desert. It's been a long time since I've breathed such fresh air, but I'm still a little nervous when I think about fighting a strong man of unknown origin. Shuhei muttered softly. This is the tailed beast that Her Majesty Queen talked about. This is the first time I have encountered it in reality, so let me have a good experience of what kind of power the tailed beast possesses. Hong Sun spread her arms, shouted loudly. Taking advantage of this moment, Shuhei quickly opened his bloody mouth and spit out a huge wind ball that gathered the great Emperor Carrot. Wind style practicing blank bullets. I have to say that one-tail Shukaku and Sanagakure are actually quite compatible. Sanagakure's shadow is called Kazekage, and Shukaku is best at wind style and magnet style sealing techniques. Hong Sun did not dodge or evade, and still relied on the protection of the sun god to block this move. Gaara. This guy's defense is definitely better than your sand shield, even my training empty ammo can't do anything to him. Shuhei couldn't help complaining. Now is not the time to talk about this. Quickly think about whether there are any more powerful moves that can break through his defense. Gaara was deeply speechless. Of course there is. Our tailed beast bomb is not a vegetarian, Shuhei said without thinking. The tailed beast bomb can be called the ultimate mystery of the tailed beast. It has an extremely astonishing destructive power, and can even cause terrifying visions like landslides and ground cracks. The Rasengan, an A-level ninjutsu that Uzumaki Naruto often uses, was developed by Namikaze Minato inspired by the tailed beast bomb, which reflects the power of the tailed beast bomb. Afterwards, Shuhei began to mix the yin and yang chakra in a fixed ratio, and dense black and purple particles floated in the air and gathered quickly. Slowly, these particles formed a large black-purple light ball, which is the so-called tailed beast bomb. This chakra is stronger than the one you released before, let it come, Hong Sun shouted. No need for him to say anything, Shuhei used all his strength to eject the huge tailed beast bomb out of the hospital. The ground under the tailed beast bomb's path exploded with continuous gullies, shaking the ground and shaking the mountains. Sun Photon Ball. Facing One Tail's ultimate mystery, Hong Sun no longer defends, but chooses to face head-on. He wants to see who is better. In an instant, the 6 small suns around were shattered, and yellow energy waves scattered from them, converging on the fingertips of the red sun. A brand new golden ball of light popped out, although its size was not as big as the previous little sun, but the entangled energy became more lush. For a moment, the battlefield was extremely dark and plunged into chaos, as if all the light was absorbed by the tailed beast bomb and the sun photon ball. Everyone unconsciously looked at the center of the desert, but the dazzling light made it difficult for them to look directly, so they could only stretch out their arms to block it afterglow. The tailed beast bomb and the solar photon sphere finally collided together, and a series of big explosions were produced in an instant, and shock waves followed one after another, which had a great impact on the surrounding areas. Is this an earthquake? Said a ninja patrolling the streets of Sanagakure, standing on a rooftop, frowning. I saw that the stones on the ground began to shake, and the ground shook quickly. The villagers were fleeing in all directions, for fear of being buried in the earthquake. It's not an earthquake, it's the aftermath of Kazekage-sama's battle with the enemy. Another ninja came over, and behind him was Sanagakure veteran Baki. Let's go. Everyone follow me to the outside of the village to support Kazekage-sama. Baki clenched his fists and said to everyone. The black, purple and golden yellow light beams intertwined and collided, and it was hard to tell the winner in a short period of time. It has been a long time since One Tail guarded the crane with such a strong force, but the enemy's strength seems to be far more than that. Kirigakure, in the luxurious palace to the north. Qian Yu stepped on the smooth stairs and walked to the top, where Kagaya was already wearing a pale white dress to welcome him here. Waiting for Master Qian Yu, will this trip go well? Otsutsuki Kagaya asked softly like a little wife. It was only then that Qian Yu remembered that although he had come to the village early after finishing off the White Zetsu monster army, he hadn't had time to return to the palace. We have wiped out all the troublesome enemies, but I think it's just the woman's temptation. She deliberately sent troops out for us to kill. Yu analyzed. It seems that the other party is not fully aware of your strength, Mr. Qian Yu. Otherwise they wouldn't do anything unnecessary. Kagaya speculated. I think so too. I thought of this before the battle, but I didn't hide it, but used my strength generously. Qian Yu said lightly. Qian Yu's so powerful ice escape is not a secret. Instead of dodging timidly, it is better to directly fight for 1,000. Perhaps Qian Yu can also use this to deter Chuyue, laying the groundwork for the future without a fight. It's just that the possibility of this situation is extremely low, so low that it can even be ignored. By the way, based on the White Zetsu you created, that woman has further developed a White Zetsu monster with stronger combat power. Her strength should not be underestimated. Qian Yu said casually. Is that so? Then I'm also responsible for telling this matter, Kagaya said in a low voice. It has nothing to do with you. When you created White Zetsu, you just created for self-protection. Anyone would do it, Ning Yu said. However, there is one thing that is very strange. Didn't you just say that the White Zetsu monster army has 10,000 people, Mr. Qian Yu? This actually indicates that there will definitely be more White Zetsu monsters behind the opponent, Kagaya said slowly. But the total number of White Zetsu is not so many. White Zetsu was not created out of thin air by Otsutsuki Kagaya, she extracted and transformed humans immersed in infinite Tsukuyomi in ancient times. After thousands of years of changes and the consumption of the last ninja war, there are absolutely very few White Zetsu left. Perhaps that woman has mastered more advanced techniques, Qian Yu murmured softly. Chuyue, like him, is a time traveler, and naturally understands many secrets in Hokage. Suddenly, a communication ninja broke Qian Yu's thoughts. Report, there is an urgent military situation. Sanagakure sent an urgent message, there is an enemy invasion, and they are fighting with Kazekage. Based on the current situation, Kazekage cannot defeat the enemy. Hearing the news, Qian Yu frowned. Why did Chuyue act so frequently that he sent a small team to the forest to investigate, and Sanagakure had another problem here, so he was not given time to catch his breath. Looks like we have to send someone to Sanagakure for support, Qian Yu said lightly. But right now Kiragakure's 7 elite ninjas, including Uchiha Sasuke, are on their way to the forest, and none of the remaining ninjas can take on the important task. Master Qian Yu, let me go, Otsutsuki Kagaya said. After the Ninja World War, although she became Qian Yu's woman and no longer fights, but her strength is still there in the ninja world except Kaiyu, no one can defeat her. No, you are my woman. I won't let you fight unless it is absolutely necessary. Qian Yu shook his head. Go and inform Konoha village, let them send Kakashi and Jiraiya there. By the way, Naruto also brought them along. This is a good opportunity for him to practice. Qian Yu said lightly. Yes, obey. The ninja left immediately. Hope Gaara can hold on for a while longer. Konoha village. A few minutes ago, Hitaki Kakashi was still reading Jiraiya's novel Love to Heaven, but in a blink of an eye, he was running in the woods, and Naruto Jiraiya, the master and apprentice, was with him. It is not unreasonable for Qian Yu to ask the Konoha faction to support Sanagakure. Among the remaining 4 major ninja villages, Konoha village is the closest to Sanagakure, and it takes 3 days to travel at normal speed. But Kakashi can speed up with Shenwei. Under his leadership, they are almost 10 times faster. I knew I should write down the coordinates of the other villages, so I don't have to hurry, Kakashi complained. Ha ha ha. I can finally go on missions again. Uzumaki Naruto was very excited, he likes this kind of life full of adventure. Naruto, don't put on such a cynical attitude. We went to Sanagakure this time to save people, Jiraiya said Jonin on the road. I know, pervy sage, I just feel extremely excited when I think that I can rescue that kid Gaara from danger soon, Uzumaki Naruto said with a wink. Meanwhile, outside Sanagakure, that vigorous confrontation lasted for a long time. The sky was dark and the earth was dark within a radius of dozens of miles, and the day and night were reversed. The strong vibration raised yellow sand flying all over the sky, and everyone seemed to be in a sandstorm. Seeing that the situation was not right, the red sand scorpion immediately summoned a huge defensive puppet to put it in front of him to protect everyone from being blown away. The few people hiding behind the puppet trembled. This battle can be described as shocking, far beyond their acceptable range. I'm afraid I'll never be able to reach this state in my entire life, Yu Liang murmured with deep self-knowledge. A soldier who doesn't want to be a general is not a good soldier. Although we still have some shortcomings, as long as we practice diligently, we will definitely be able to improve in time, the red sand scorpion said optimistically. Speaking carefully, the childhood of Scarlet Sand Scorpion is somewhat similar to that of Gaara. The former's parents died young and lacked family care, and the latter's father treated him as a monster after his mother died of dystocia. Such a sad experience also led the two of them to go astray and make many serious mistakes. Perhaps God closed a door for them and opened a window again. They then returned to the right path and found the path they wanted to pursue. As the Kazekage of Sanagakure, Gaara's greatest pursuit is undoubtedly to protect the village and make Sanagakure flourish. And the Scarlet Sand Scorpion awakened the drive in his heart. He was the proud son of heaven. A genius always wants to become stronger constantly. There is no doubt that Scorpion is the #1 puppet master in the ninja world, but he hopes that he can carry forward the puppet art and make it a profession that everyone yearns for. Tamari did not join the conversation between the two of them, but watched Gaara quietly. Father, mother, if you see this scene, you should feel very relieved. Now Gaara can be alone, Tamari thought in his heart. I don't know how long it took before the duel finally came to an end. Due to the collision of two forces, a huge pit was formed in the center of the battlefield. Thick smoke filled the air. Xie put away the puppet, and everyone looked towards the distance in unison, searching for Gaara's figure. When the smoke dissipated, everyone saw one tail lying on the ground with scars all over his body. Has Gaara successfully eliminated the enemy? The red sand scorpion stood up straight and said excitedly. As soon as the words fell, a hand suddenly emerged from the sand, followed by the red sun that came out from below. At this moment, Hongri's situation was not much better, panting heavily, and slapped Sand King on his body. The power of the tailed beast is really strong. If it were someone else, I'm afraid you would have killed it abruptly. Hong Sun swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said slowly. Judging from the current situation, although Hong Sun suffered some injuries, it did not affect his next battle. This is mainly because the sun hanging in the sky is constantly transmitting energy to the red sun. As long as the sun does not set, the red sun can guarantee that it will never fall. But there are exceptions to everything. If the enemy's strength is far above him, and the damage caused to him exceeds the energy supply of the sun to him, then he will also lose. It's just that one tail, who is fully fired, is still only on par with him, not enough to meet this condition. Shuhei, can you continue to fight? Gaara in the spiritual world asked worriedly. Having been doing Jinchuriki for so many years, it was the first time Gaara saw Shuzuru look so tired. No, I'm not the endless dead fox of chakra after all. The tailed beast bomb consumed the energy I had accumulated for a long time, so I have to rest for a while. Shuhei said weakly. These words are like a bolt from the blue to Gaara. Without the blessing of Shuhei, his strength will be greatly reduced. The previous battles have well proved the fact that he is not Hong Sun's opponent. Gaara, although I know you may not accept my opinion, I still have to say. You're different from me. You're not a tailed beast, so you can't be resurrected. You should know the reason why you don't have firewood if you keep the green hills there. Shukaku persuaded him earnestly. For a long time, Shuhei has always hated Gaara, the Jinchuriki, not because Gaara doesn't like him, but because it hates anyone who helps him equally. Although Shuzuru entered Gaara's body again after the Ninja World War, the two of them still inevitably bicker in their daily lives. But after all, Shuhei is actually a bean curd with a knife mouth, and he still doesn't want Gaara to die from the bottom of his heart. Absolutely not. Behind me are Sanagakure and hundreds of villagers. I, Kazekage, will never leave them alone. Gaara said with firm eyes. This is very in line with Gaara's character. Shuhei had been able to predict such a result long before the persuasion. And he also knows very well that no matter what he says, it can't change Gaara's heart. If he really listened to Shuzuru, he wouldn't be Gaara. You are really a stubborn child, but I have gradually understood the belief and persistence that you humans say. Sho, he said thoughtfully. Well, Shuzuru, you should have a good rest and leave the rest to me, said Gaara slowly. You don't need to be brave in front of me anymore. You must be very flustered in your heart. You can't defeat him. Sho, he said the key point. This is a battle that we know we are invincible, but we still have to go all out. I, Kazekage, can't escape anyway. Gaara said firmly. I know, but in the next battle, you have to save the remaining chakra as much as possible. Don't go head to head with the opponent, and find a way to delay time. Crane said without thinking, but it was a method he thought of after careful consideration. It is undoubtedly an idiotic dream to let Gaara completely defeat the Red Sun, but if it is just avoiding and not fighting, maybe it can still find a glimmer of life. And as long as he can hold on for enough time, Shukaku recovers chakra and can continue to help Gaara fight. Hearing Shuzuru's suggestion, Gaara nodded. In just a few moments, One Tail's figure was continuously shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the color of his skin also changed. After a few breaths, Gaara's figure appeared again. It seems that you can no longer maintain a complete tailed beast state. Are you planning to surrender? Hong Sun said condescendingly. The battle between the two is also a great consumption for him. If he can complete the task assigned by her Lady Queen without any effort, then Hong Sun is also very willing. Don't daydream, I'm enough to deal with you, Gaara said through gritted teeth. Hong Sun let out an extremely wild laugh, as if he heard an extremely funny joke. Are all of you ninjas so humorous? Don't make me laugh anymore, okay? Hong Ri said frivolously. However, Gaara has always maintained a serious face. Okay, this is what you asked for. Even if you are afraid that you will be beaten to death, and you are brought to Her Majesty Queen, you can still do business. Hong Sun suddenly released a murderous look. Sunshine waves. The red sun emits long waves of light between its fingers, and those light waves contain extremely powerful solar energy and have strong penetrating power. Facing the sudden siege of light waves, Gaara dodged quickly, leaving behind a clone of Sha to resist. Those light waves flew over, crushing the avatar without any suspense, and chasing towards Gaara's main body. After the previous battles, Hong Sun already had a certain degree of understanding of Gaara, and figured out Gaara's escape route. The light wave launched in advance cuts the beard, trying to give Gaara a fatal blow directly. Wind-style Itachi. At this critical moment, Gaara's sister Temari came to the rescue. Temari held the huge fan behind her back in her hand, spread it out, and waved it vigorously. A gust of hurricane was swung by Temari, and there were many empty knives mixed in the wind. These attacks cannot be detected by the naked eye, and can bring unexpected effects. After a while, the wind blade successfully blocked the light wave that was attacking Gaara. Gaara escaped unharmed because of this, and continued to run. Slowly, Hong Sun seemed to have understood that Gaara's thoughts at this time were nothing more than avoiding a direct confrontation, thereby delaying time. Gaara, is it meaningful for you to do this? Even if it takes longer, it will not change the fact that you were defeated by me, Hong Sun said proudly. In the minds of Hong Sun and the three brothers, there is only her lady queen in the whole world, and everyone else is nothing but little people. I don't need you to judge whether it is meaningful or not. My every move is carrying out my ninja way. Gaara shouted loudly while avoiding it. Until this moment, Gaara finally understood what Uzumaki Naruto's ninja way that Uzumaki Naruto often talked about meant. Ninjas have stronger power than ordinary people, and naturally have more possibilities, but what kind of people they want to become is all up to them to decide, which is their freedom. The answer Gaara gave was to try her best to protect the people around her. Ninja Road? It's ridiculous. Do you think this is playing house? Hongri said coldly. Influenced by Chuyue, the three Hongri brothers are out-and-out power seekers. They dismiss all kinds of empty talk and beliefs, thinking that as long as they are under great power, everything is worthless. It seems that I need to teach you a good lesson, so that you can understand how naive and ignorant you really are, Hongri said. In the next second, Hong Sun clasped his palms together and used the sun body flicker technique, which he rarely uses because it consumes a lot of energy and has a long cooling time. But the effect of this trick is extraordinarily heaven-defying. After using this trick, the red sun can teleport instantly, as long as the place where the sun shines can be used as the location for him to transfer. And the sun body flicker technique is not limited to the Earth. If the red sun needs it, it can even travel to the universe in an instant, because in the solar system, there are almost no places where the sun cannot shine. In a trance, Hong Sun disappeared, and his breath also disappeared. Seeing such a scene, Gaara frowned and became more cautious. This is a kind of great pressure for him. He not only has to beware of the impact of light waves, but also pay attention to surprise attacks that will come from nowhere. After thinking for a moment, Gaara fashioned a giant eye out of sand, floating in the sky. This trachoma can share the field of vision with Gaara, allowing Gaara to see a wider field. Strange, where did you go? Gaara murmured in confusion. Body flicker technique is not uncommon in the ninja world, almost a must for advanced ninjas, because this trick can always play a good role on the battlefield. However, the body flicker technique at most only makes the caster move quickly, and does not hide the effect of its chakra. Will that guy leave? Yura, who was standing on the sand in the distance, made a guess. How is this possible? He clearly has the upper hand in this battle, so how could he retreat? I'm afraid you are planning something in the dark. The red sand scorpion said very calmly. Just when Gaara felt more and more strange, Hongri's figure appeared behind him without warning, extremely fast. Although it is the blind spot of Gaara's body, Gaara can still see the enemy's position relying on the trachoma in the sky. It's just a pity that Gaara just saw it, but didn't stop the speed of the enemy's attack. Sunshine Punch. Hongri clenched his fist of hard rock, and punched Gaara in the stomach like a wolf. The speed of this punch can no longer be described in words. Gaara couldn't dodge, was hit abruptly, and the whole person flew out. The visual effect was very exaggerated. Gaara's abdomen was glowing red hot, and his body hit the mountain peak, causing a huge explosion, and blocks of rocks submerged him underneath. You fell down before I exerted my strength, but it's really useless. Is this what you call ninja? It's so weak. Hongri clapped his hands, laughing out loud. Gaara. Temari screamed. Master Kazekage, Scorpion and Yura were worried. All the people in Sanagakure cast worried eyes one after another. It was hard for them to imagine that the battle situation had changed dramatically in an instant. I'm fine. Gaara's voice sounded, and a giant hand made of sand removed all the rocks pressing on him from the side. Gaara got up from the ground in a panic, covering his stomach with his palms. Layers of sand flowed down along the gap between his palms in a continuous. Have you blocked it? Your sand shell is really annoying, Hong Ri said lightly. If it wasn't for that layer of sand armor, the punch just now would have knocked Gaara unconscious. I'd like to see how many times your sand shell can save you. Hong Sun clenched his fists again, and quickly attacked Gaara. Although Gaara's life was saved at this moment, he was also severely injured, and his performance in all aspects of his body continued to decline. However, at this moment, Sanagakure's ninjas, led by Baki, came to support. Wind-style wind-killing formation. These ninjas released ninjutsu very neatly, and their ninjutsu gathered together, and their power and scale have also been greatly improved. A huge gust of wind swept across a wide range, blowing the red sun directly and repelling it temporarily. Master Kazekage, are you alright? Baki stepped forward and asked very worriedly. Baki and Yura's outfits are similar, they both have white headscarves, but he still has these two red lines on his face. Baki has a very high prestige in Sanagakure, is the confidant of 4th Kazekage Rosa, and also the teacher of Gaara. Barely able to hold on, Gaara looked bitter. During this period, the Scarlet Sand Scorpion and the others also ran over to join them, forming a huge team. Although you are Kazekage, protecting the village is by no means your job alone. We are also ninjas, partners you can rely on. Let us fight side by side with you, Baki said sonorously. These words made Gaara's heart tremble, and he felt a warm current in his heart. Yes, he is not fighting alone, he has so many reliable partners. Okay, then let's have a big fight together. Gaara seemed to have regained her strength, and said plausibly. Red High, who was pushed aside by wind-style ninjutsu, witnessed what they did and felt extremely disdainful. He believes that in the face of absolute strength, no matter how many enemies there are, they cannot change the situation of the battle. At the same time, Kirigakure's team entered the forest far away. And not far behind them, there was a figure constantly following them, extremely concealed. That person is Qian Yu, the master of the ninja world. Although the mission Qian Yu assigned to this team was to investigate the enemy's situation, he knew that Chuyue would definitely arrange heavy guards here, and a big battle would be inevitable. And the members of this team are the elite of Kirigakure, including Minazuki Shiro, that's why he chooses to follow behind silently. There is another important reason, that is, Qian Yu also really wants to come and find out in person. Finally arrived at the destination, next, we must be extremely careful. Qianshi Guixie took a deep breath and reminded everyone. Anbu is commanded by Kakisame Kisame, who has rich experience in secret missions and is well aware of the dangers involved. Actually, I think we don't need to be so troublesome at all. With our strength, it's better to just push over and kill anyone who dares to stop us, Uchiha Sasuke said lightly. Sasuke, among us, you should be the most powerful, and you also have this confidence, but I want to remind you that the enemies we face this time are different from the past. The mastermind behind this so-called dark organization is a woman named Chuyue, and she is someone whom even Lord Qian Yu attaches great importance to. We can't be careless, Yushi Kisame said earnestly. What Kanshi Kisame said was indeed reasonable. Sasuke thought for a while calmly, and decided to follow suit. On the other side, outside Sanagakure, Taiyang Shenyi, Hong Ri said in a word. The light emitted by the sun became more intense and shone on him. Not long after, a layer of golden yellow coat emerged from Hong Sun's body, with powerful power attached to it. Since you all want to commit suicide, then I will satisfy you and prepare to face the punishment of the sun god. Hong Sun roared loudly. However, just when Hong Sun was about to launch an attack, three figures suddenly appeared in the center of both of them. Mr. Kakashi, how long will it take us to reach Sanagakure? A childish voice sounded. Naruto, how do I teach you on weekdays? A ninja must be patient, and remember not to be anxious. This will make you lose your calm judgment. Another male high-ranking voice responded. You too. Judging from the current situation, we have already arrived, Kakashi said slowly. Only then did they realize that they were already outside Sanagakure. In front of them was a strange man with golden light all over his body, and behind them were Sanagakure ninjas headed by Gaara. The reinforcements have finally arrived, Tamari said happily. It seems that Master Yu has never forgotten them. Naruto. Gaara yelled in a daze. Gaara, It's been a long time. How are you doing recently? Has your strength increased? Uzumaki Naruto became very excited when he saw Gaara's figure, and hurriedly ran over here. Although it's been a long time, let's talk about greetings later. Gaara pointed at the red sun in the distance while talking. Uzumaki Naruto only then remembered the main purpose of their coming this time, and turned to look at the enemy. I almost forgot about this, ha ha ha. Don't worry everyone, Mr. Qian Yu sent us to rescue you, Uzumaki Naruto said solemnly. Qian Yu, who followed Uchiha Sasuke's crowd, was just a clone he summoned, which could barely exert 70% to 80% of his strength, which was enough for him. At this moment, Qian Yu's body was located on an empty flat ground, with no one around. He has not practiced for a long time, because he has long been invincible, and no one can threaten him. But until Chuyu's appearance, Qian Yu felt uneasy for the first time. The opponent's power has always been a mystery. In order to be fully prepared, Qian Yu decided to use this time to find ways to improve his own strength. But this matter is a bit difficult for Qian Yu, because he has awakened and the system has developed all the power he has mastered to ultimate. If he wants to go further, all Qian Yu needs to do is to develop a new strength. Even if the possibility is unlikely, even if it takes a lot of time, Qian Yu will not hesitate. The new order of the ninja world that he worked so hard to establish cannot be disrupted by Chuyue, who appeared out of thin air. If you can't become friends, then find a way to eliminate them. This is Qian Yu's way of survival. Outside Sanagakure, yellow sand is everywhere, there is no cloud in the sky, and there is only one round of golden sun in the sky, exuding scorching heat. Soon, Uzumaki Naruto noticed that his friend Gaara was seriously injured, his nose was bruised and his face was swollen, and he seemed to be exhausted. You bastard made Gaara look like this. Uzumaki Naruto was furious immediately, clenched his fists tightly, and stared at the red sun in the distance. Hearing Naruto's questioning, Hong Ri didn't take it seriously, and even thought it was a little funny. Isn't this just a child who dares to talk to himself like this? It's simply lawless. What are you thinking? You dare to talk to me like that, don't you want to live? Hong Ri frowned, face hazy and said. Red Japan felt that there was enough time, so he patiently entangled with Gaara for a while, just to find fun for himself. But I didn't expect that the reinforcements from the other side would arrive. This means that the enemy has received the news of his attack here, before leaving. Chuyue specifically told him that if Kirigakure's people were killed, he must rush back as soon as possible. For Akiba, those white Zetsu weirdos are just cannon fodder, and death is not a pity. But the Red Sun is his personal admiral. If even this kind of person dies, it will be a big loss. However, according to the information that Red Sun has now, the people who came to support were not from Kirigakure, but ninjas from Konoha village. This made him hesitate for a while, not knowing whether he should continue to stay and fight, or he should follow Chuyu's order and go back as soon as possible. However, just as he was hesitating, the three of Konoha village were ready to attack. Multiple shadow clone technique. Uzumaki Naruto shouted with the two fingers of both hands together and crossed. But in the blink of an eye, many clones of Uzumaki Naruto appeared around. Under Naruto's order, these avatars aggressively launched a fierce attack on the Red Sun. But those attacks were a breeze for the Redskins. He slowly opened his palm, and a small yellow halo appeared in his palm. Next second, countless yellow beams shot out from it. Every clone hit by the yellow light beam will immediately disappear into nothingness. Naruto, don't be careless, this guy is very powerful. Gaara reminded loudly while panting. In fact, after such a long time of experience, Uzumaki Naruto has already changed from that reckless child to a more mature ninja country. If it was him, he would have used Rasengan directly and attacked personally. It is very risky to have close contact with the enemy before knowing the enemy's ability, so now Uzumaki Naruto will use multiple shadow clone techniques to test. Gaara is right. Those yellow light beams are very powerful. I am afraid that even if my body is hit, I will be seriously injured, Naruto said rather fearfully. Standing next to Naruto, Kakashi took out the kunai from his pocket, and then injected his famous ninjutsu Reikiri into the kunai. After receiving the blessing of Reikiri, the kunai emitted a flash of lightning. After finishing the preparations, Kakashi used the Sharingan to lock the position of the Red Sun, and threw the kunai in his hand with lightning speed. The kunai emitting lightning flew quickly, possessing a very powerful power, and at the same time kept making very sharp sounds, as if thousands of birds were singing there. Hong's son immediately noticed the flying kunai and sensed its power. Sunlight Palm. Hongri raised palms, exuding intense heat. Soon, this palm collided with Kanai, who was braving lightning, and knocked him back. The Kanai thunder and lightning dissipated and fell to the ground. It seems that this guy is more powerful than the Xuanwu we met before. After just one round of confrontation, Kakashi came to a conclusion. Although the red sun in front of him does not have Xuanwu's tall figure, the sense of deterrence exuded by him cannot be compared. What's more, although the attack Kakashi sent just now is just a handful of Kanai, it has the same power as Reikari. And even so, it was only smashed by the opponent's palm. The Dark Organization really doesn't have a fuel-efficient lamp. Although this guy is indeed very powerful, we should be able to fight for it with the strength of all of us, Jiraiya said calmly. Uzumaki Naruto also realized very clearly that with his current self, it is impossible to bring serious damage to Red Sun, let alone avenge Gaara. I saw Naruto clench his fists with an expression of unwillingness. He is the kind of person who absolutely does not allow his companions to be hurt by others. Pervy Sage, Mr. Kakashi, you two should fight him first. I want to try to enter Sage mode, Naruto said slowly. Didn't you fail so many times? Besides, I don't think Nine Tails Chakra mode is weaker than Sage mode. You might as well borrow strength from Nine Tails, Kakashi said. I can't always rely on the power of Nine Tails. Wasn't the last battle in the Valley of the End already a big lesson? I can't defeat Sasuke just by relying on the Nine Tails mode. I have to seek more power, Naruto said resolutely. Okay, Naruto, just try it. Leave it to us first. Jiraiya thought for a moment, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, and he gave Uzumaki Naruto a thumbs up. After that battle, Naruto ended in failure. As a bystander, Qian Yu also had a full understanding of the strength of the two of them. Qian Yu believes that Naruto is far from reaching his peak at the moment, so he asks Jiraiya to lead Naruto to Mount Myoboku to learn fairy arts, so that Naruto can fight Sasuke at the peak. In the original book, Sage Mode can be said to be a watershed in celebrity strength. Jiraiya also has great expectations for her beloved apprentice, but Uzumaki Naruto has yet to comprehend the true meaning of fairy art after practicing on Mount Myoboku for a week or two. This was a big blow to Uzumaki Naruto, and Jiraiya was very confused. Jiraiya and Uzumaki Naruto were the tail of their peers when they were young, but Naruto has the blood of the fourth Hokage in Uzumaki families, and he is actually quite smart, so it stands to reason that he should beat Jiraiya in this respect, right? But this is just a guess after all. Naruto still hasn't made much progress under the joint guidance of Jiraiya and Fukasaku Sento. Pervy Sage, am I not suitable for learning fairy art? Naruto asked, very depressed for a while. Although Jiraiya also had doubts, but in front of Naruto, he comforted him well. Until today, after seeing Naruto's determination radiating from the inside out, Jiraiya finally knew why Naruto couldn't make progress. In the original plot, Naruto came to Mount Myoboku to learn the art of immortality under the combined pressure of the news of the departure of the Akatsuki organization and Jiraiya, a mentor-like character. At that time, Uzumaki Naruto's desire for power can be said to have reached its peak. He didn't want to let the companions around him die, and he didn't want the village to be implicated by him, so he frantically worked hard to learn fairy arts. And in this time and space, the ninja world has been pacified by Qian Yu, and there is no longer any internal and external troubles. Uzumaki Naruto's motivation comes entirely from the competition with his good friend Sasuke. Fire-style flame bomb. Jiraiya swallowed the specific oil and spit out a huge fireball. The fireball rushed over like a bamboo, as if it could burn everything. This is one of the most frequently used fire-style ninjutsu by Jiraiya, and the damage is quite considerable. However, this trick can't play a big role in front of the Red Sun. Facing the impact of the fireball, Hong Sun didn't have the will to hide at all, and just stood there straight. How arrogant is he? He actually plans to take my tricks. Although he won't be able to defeat him, it can definitely hurt him, Jiraiya said incomprehensibly. However, what happened next refreshed his cognition, because the fireball hit Hong Sun's body and did not cause any damage to him. Fire-style tricks are ineffective for me, because my power comes from the sun. No matter how fierce your flame is, it can be compared to Sun Gong, Hong Sun said slowly. Hearing such words, Jiraiya frowned. You know, he is a fire attribute chakra ninja. Although he has also mastered other ninjutsu, he is far less powerful than fire-style. What a tough opponent, Jiraiya said with a headache. Kakashi took 2 steps forward, the Sharingan changed and evolved into the Mangekyo Sharingan. Kamui. Kakashi fixed his eyes on Hongri's head, and shouted loudly. At the same time, a few strands of blood flowed down his eyes. As soon as the words fell, the air around Hongri's head became distorted, as if he wanted to twist his head completely. What kind of trick is this? Hongri's eyes widened, and he hurriedly dodged because he sensed danger. But even though he dodged very fast, Kakashi caught the opportunity and Kamui hit his arm. A crisp sound sounded, and Hongri's arm was twisted abruptly, and his strength disappeared. Blood also flowed down the broken arm, and Hong-sun let out a cry of pain. Since he was created by Chuyue, he has never suffered such a serious injury, because apart from Chuyue, no one can overwhelm him in strength. But the ninja in front of him gave him a shocking blow. Good job, Kakashi. Jiraiya beside him praised loudly. It seems that Mangekyo Sharingan's pupil technique can still bring a threat to the enemy, so the next step will be easy. Even if all their ninjutsu are ineffective, they can slowly dismantle each other's body with Kakashi's Kamui. A lowly person like you dares to damage my body. This is given to me by Lord Chuyue. You have angered me. Hong-sun roared with a fierce look on his face. In Hongri's mind, the most important person is Chuyue. This is a mother-like role, and he will carry out any order of Chuyue without hesitation. Hongri's biggest idea is to let Chuyue complete all the things she wants to do. Based on this argument, Hongri can willingly become Chuyue's pawn. Even if the other party orders him to die, he will do so faithfully. I saw a round of small sun suddenly appearing from behind Hongri, just enough to cover his whole body. Sun God armor. Sword of the Sun God. The sun slowly turned into a rich energy body, covering Hongri's body to form a thick golden armor, very delicate, shining brightly under the sunlight. Not only that, a sharp long sword also appeared on Hong-sun's right hand, with a sphere hanging from the hilt, which represented the power of the sun. I seem to have touched this guy's reverse scale. Kakashi couldn't help but said. It doesn't matter, it just means that your attack has posed a threat to him, forcing him to fight with all his strength, Jiraiya said lightly. Jiraiya is definitely the most ninja that can be called a ninja. He knows how to endure and is not afraid of sacrifice. For him, death may also be regarded as a relief, and it is also something that ninjas must experience. Filled with anger, Hong-sun swung his long sword, and slashed a fierce slash of sunlight in the direction of everyone. The power of this light slash was so powerful that everyone whose attention was several hundred meters away felt shuddering. If you get hit by this move, you will die immediately, Kakashi said. Be more confident, I'm afraid these two words will be removed, Jiraiya corrected. But even so, the two of them didn't feel any special fear, because the task they were sent here was to defeat the enemy in front of them. Looks like I'm going to play my whole card, Kakashi said with a heavy face. After a few breaths, Kakashi's Mangekyo Sharingan emitted a strange light, and a huge chakra erupted from his body. These chakras converge into huge blue cyan veins and bone frames, which contain huge energy. It seems that you have developed the Sharingan left to you by Obito to Ultimate, and even the most powerful Susanoo of the Uchiha family can be released, Jiraiya exclaimed. This is already my limit. Although I have Mangekyo Sharingan, it is not what I was born with, Kakashi said weakly. Using Mangekyo Sharingan is also very exhausting for me. Kakashi has already shed sweat without knowing it. After the original ninja war, he just got the eyes of Obito, and tried the ultimate mystery of the Uchiha family. But the reality slapped him hard. Before that, he struggled to use one eye, let alone put on two Sharingan. It is already quite good to be able to fight normally. But this is not what Kakashi wants. In the following time, he will carry out high-intensity training every day, and his adaptability to riding round eyes is also constantly improving. Until now, Kakashi was able to barely summon Susanoo's first form, but it also had a very high limit, and he could use it for 3 minutes at most. Facing the sudden sun slash, Kakashi used his Susanoo body to resist. The huge light slash hit the skeleton, sparking a lot of sparks, triggering shockwaves one after another. All the people standing around were blown away by the shockwave and took a few steps back unconsciously. Only Naruto was still sitting cross-legged on the ground, guarded by natural energy. Susanoo claims to have absolute defense, able to resist all ninjutsu and body skills. So Kakashi blocked the sunshine slash without any risk. You're quite capable. I really didn't expect you to be able to block my move, but this is just the beginning, Hongri said. Then, the red sun flew towards Kakashi, intending to fight him at close quarters. Kamui Shuriken. Kakashi knew that something was wrong, so he said without thinking. An arm sprang from Susanoo's skeletal body, grabbing a large shuriken and throwing it. This shuriken contains the power of Kamui, which is far from being comparable to ordinary shurikens. Shield of the Sun God. Through his eyes and intuition, Hong Ri judged that the shuriken had the same power as the move that destroyed his shoulder just now, so he didn't dare to be careless. Countless sun rays descended from the sky, forming a huge golden shield in front of the red sun. Kamui shuriken hit the shield, and the extremely hard shield immediately turned into nothingness. At the same time, Qian Yu suddenly opened his eyes, and he sensed a huge energy fluctuation in the distance. And that direction is where Sanagakure is. I don't know if Kakashi and the three of them can do it. Forget it, let me go and have a look in person. If you're lucky, maybe you can catch a prisoner, so that you can extract more information about Chuyue. Qian Yu slowly stood up from the ground and flew towards the distance. Outside the village of San Shinobi, Uzumaki Naruto finally managed to grasp the true meaning of natural energy after a long time of concentration. I saw a light yellow eyeshadow appearing in the corner of Uzumaki Naruto's eyes, and his temperament changed drastically. You finally succeeded, Naruto, Jiraiya said in great surprise. What? Only changes in eyeshadow? It seems that your understanding of natural energy is far superior to mine, Jiraiya said in disbelief. In the immortal art mode of the lineage of Mount Myoboku, the less obvious the toad-like feature is, the more perfect the state is, which means that the Naruto immortal art mode is stronger, even far better than the teacher Jiraiya. Uzumaki Naruto stood up resolutely, and two clones appeared behind him out of nowhere, helping him to condense Rasengan. This is not over yet. Naruto added a change in chakra's form to Rasengan. The original spherical Rasengan changed drastically, and seemed to become a huge shuriken, spinning rapidly in Naruto's hands. Wind-style Rasengan shuriken. Naruto leapt high and threw Rasengan shuriken towards the red sun. You brat can unleash such a powerful move. It seems that I underestimated you before, Hong Ri said slowly. However, Hong Ri's expression is still calm, which shows that he still has full confidence that he can accept such a move. Sun lightsaber array. Hong Ri let go of his grip on the sun's lightsaber, and the lightsaber was suspended in the air by itself, emitting intense sunlight continuously. At this time, it seems that even the brilliance of the sun on the pig's head is blocked by it. In the next second, the sun lightsaber split rapidly, hundreds of thousands of identical lightsabers were suspended around, and the scene exploded. With a wave of Hong Ri's finger, countless lightsabers lined up in a neat line, gathered together, and charged towards the Rasengan shuriken. Rasengan's shuriken hit the sword array, creating a huge storm shockwave, covered by white halos. The entire sky was out of people's observation, but they could still clearly hear the constant sound of explosions inside, as well as the sound of many lightsabers waving. I don't know how long it took before the explosion wave finally dissipated. The Rasengan shuriken had disappeared, but the split lightsabers still stood there. What? My Rasengan shuriken, Uzumaki Naruto said with a surprised face. Rasengan shuriken is far more powerful than ordinary Rasengan, and can even be called one of the most powerful wind-style ninjutsu. Ha 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 ha, I just like seeing your helpless expressions, Hong Sun shouted arrogantly. Immediately afterwards, he rushed over again, surrounded by those lightsabers, and as he waved his hands, the lightsabers launched an indiscriminate attack on many ninjas. Faced with such a situation, many ninjas headed by Naruto can only defend passively, and there is no possibility of counterattack at all. Due to their strong strength, the Konoha trio is doing pretty well, but those Sanagakure ninjas are not satisfactory. Most of them are Chunin and Jonin. Facing such a large-scale attack, they seem very helpless. Although Gaara has kept protecting the ninjas in their village with sand, many ninjas will still die here. I thought how strong the 3 reinforcements of you were, but it turned out to be only this level, so you will surely die, Red Sun said. Even though what he said was very hateful, Naruto and the others had no way to refute it at this moment. However, at this moment, a chill fell from the sky and continued to spread towards the surroundings. The lightsabers that came flying were all frozen into ice cubes without any warning. A tall figure flitted across the clouds, slowly descending, and his face gradually appeared. Master Qian Yu. Many ninjas shouted in great surprise. On the other side, the Red Sun stopped smiling. Hong Sun couldn't be more clear about who Qian Yu was. Although this was the first time he saw Qian Yu with his own eyes, he had already heard many glorious deeds about Qian Yu from his queen. Qian Yu, the master of the ninja world, integrated the chaotic ninja world with many grievances by himself, and even mastered the power of 6 paths, defeating the legendary originator of chakra, Otsutsuki Kagaya. In the entire ninja world, Qian Yu claims to be number 2, and no one dares to be number 1. At the same time, the most important thing is that Tian Yu is Chuyu's biggest enemy. Our dark organization only needs to do one thing, and that is to kill the man named Zuo Qian Yu, replace him, and redefine the order of the ninja world. Chuyu's words echoed in Hongri's ears. Are you Qian Yu, that idiot known as the Lord of the Ninja World? Red Sun's newborn calf was not afraid of tigers, and said loudly with extreme disdain. Hearing Hongri's words, Qian Yu looked over there slowly. His eyes were like looking at a fool, full of endless disdain. What? You should talk to yourself in that arrogant tone, too. Even Chuyue, the leader of the dark organization, treats herself kindly. Are you deaf? Can't you hear me talking to you? The Red Sun continued on the road to death and never returned. Among the many ninjas standing on the ground, except for Naruto, a simple and reckless child, the others did not feel angry because of Hongri's words. The grass on the grave of the last person who dared to talk to Qian Yu like this was probably several meters away. Rather than saying that Hongri is arrogant, it is better to say that he does not know what it means to cherish one's life. The next second, a gust of icy cold air suddenly swept over Hongri's body. Without even thinking about it, this must be Qian Yu's punishment for him. He subconsciously wanted to avoid it, but suddenly found that his body was out of control. This icy chill quickly penetrated into his bone marrow, as if his internal organs had been frozen into ice cubes, and a huge sense of powerlessness emerged spontaneously. If most ninjutsu are physical attacks, then Qian Yu's move can be called magic penetration damage, and there is almost nowhere to hide. After a few breaths, layers of crystal clear frost formed on Hongri's body, and the energy inside could not be controlled, so he quickly fell freely from the sky. The red sun fell heavily on the ground, raising a large cloud of dust. What have you done to me? Hongri stammered. The strong chill seemed to be an invisible hand tightly covering his mouth, and he had already spent most of his words' strength. In just a blink of an eye, Qian Yu flashed in front of Hong Sun, with his feet off the ground, suspended in midair like a god. A trash like you deserves me to do something to you? Qian Yu said coldly. At this critical moment, Hongri's brain was spinning rapidly, thinking about all the possibilities of getting out of trouble, and his eyes looked towards the sky. That was his hope. Great Sun, please give me endless strength. I am your most loyal believer. Hong Sun said silently in his heart. For a moment, the sunlight emitted by the sun became hotter, as if it was a response to him. Slowly, streaks of hot rays of light fell down and sprinkled on Hongri's body, like a spring breeze. The frost attached to the surface of his body is fading at a speed visible to the naked eye. The water from the melted ice flowed along Hongri's body to the 4 sides, and soon, Hongri escaped from the trap and retreated desperately. No wonder before Hongri left, Chuyue repeatedly told him that no matter what the situation was, as long as he saw Kirigakure's ninjas, he would retreat immediately. Because behind Kirigakure is such a terrifying existence as Qian Yu. The sense of oppression brought by Qian Yu is not weaker than that brought by Chuyue to Hongri. We will have a date later. Hongri stopped being arrogant, turned around and ran away without saying a word. Hongri ran away desperately, and he kept praying in his heart that Qian Yu must not catch up. However, before the red sun flew several hundred meters away, there was a figure in the air ahead, and Qian Yu blocked his retreat without anyone noticing. What? How could you be so fast? Weren't you still there just now? Hong Sun couldn't believe it. I didn't say that your speed is too slow. I heard that someone invaded Sunagakure. I thought it was a strong enemy. I am very disappointed to see you. Yu said in a flat tone. After saying this, Qian Yu sighed very naturally, as if feeling particularly regretful. At this moment, Hongri's expression was ugly, and he couldn't help but feel regretful. If he hadn't made a fuss, it wouldn't have been such a big deal if he had captured Gaara earlier. It is a pity that there is no regret medicine in this world that can be given to him. Since he made such a stupid decision, he must bear the corresponding consequences, which he cannot change. You won't be able to go if you go, so why not fight to the death? Maybe you still have some chance of survival. Qian Yu said caringly. Hong Sun kept sorting out his current thoughts. In his opinion, Qian Yu's so-called suggestion was nonsense, and the difference in strength between the two of them was really not the slightest bit. Master of the ninja world, can you let me go? It was not my intention to come here to attack Sunagakure, but that adult ordered me. Hongri took a deep breath, trying to beg for mercy. The monster Xuanwu that Qian Yu and others encountered before is powerful and can have normal conversations with people, but it doesn't have much wisdom. Chu Yue created Xuanwu purely to make it a weapon, and did not endow it with a sufficiently developed brain, but the three brothers Hongri and the others are different. Red Sun and the others are the same as normal people except for the rules that Chu Yue set deep in their minds that they must never betray Chu Yue. They have emotions, cry and laugh, and say things to deceive the enemy when they are in desperate situations. Oh? You mean, you don't want to be my enemy? Qian Yu said with a sneer. That's natural, Mr. Qian Yu. You are a hero in the ninja world, and I have always admired you very much in my heart. Hongri said nonsense without drafting, and there was still a flattering smile on his face. Seeing the hypocritical Red Sun, Qian Yu just felt it was extremely ridiculous. It was completely different from the previous Red Sun who took the initiative to provoke him. Such clumsy acting skills couldn't fool Qian Yu's eyes at all, but he didn't want to expose Hong Sun so quickly. Why do I not believe it so much? From your words, I feel that you have a big opinion of Chu Yue, Qian Yu said casually. Hong Ri was stunned by Qian Yu's inquiry for a moment. He seemed to be thinking quickly about what words to say that would satisfy the other party and let him go. That's right, if it wasn't for the fact that she created me and is much stronger than me, I would have run away a long time ago. Hong Sun pretended to be resentful. If I hadn't arrived suddenly, I'm afraid Sanagakure would have escaped your clutches. I wouldn't let you go after listening to your begging for mercy, Qian Yu said flatly. Well, you provide me with some information about Chu Yue, and if I think it's useful, I'll spare your life. Why, is this a good deal? Qian Yu stared at the Red Sun intently, asked. Although Hong Ri was still smirking on the surface, he scolded Qian Yu in his heart. Information? It's still about her lady queen. Can you think about it? Isn't this forcing me to betray the queen? Hong Sun said inwardly. However, this was also within Hong Sun's expectation. He knew that no matter how extravagantly he said, he could not eliminate the other party's killing intent, so he slowly said the words he had prepared for a long time. What I know is very limited. Master Chu Yue is an extremely sensitive person. Although she has many subordinates, she doesn't trust anyone. Hong Ri said slowly. In other words, you are useless to me at all. During the conversation, Qian Yu stretched out his right hand, spewed out cool air, condensed into a sharp long sword, cut iron like mud, and was ready to strike. Lord Qian Yu, listen to me. Although I can't come up with important information right now, I can act as an undercover agent for you, to help you get the 10th hand information on the Chu Yongdong party. Hong Sun added anxiously. Qian Yu stopped swinging the sword and made a thoughtful expression, as if analyzing the pros and cons. I still can't trust you completely, Qian Yu said flatly. Then what do you say? Hong Sun asked helplessly. He doesn't like the current situation very much. In the past, he was superior to others, but now he has to be controlled by others. I don't know either. I'd better arrest you first and then think about it slowly. Qian Yu smiled evilly. Qian Yu, you're kidding me. It was only then that Hong Ri knew that Qian Yu had no intention of letting him go from the beginning to the end, but was cooperating with him in acting, just like a play. But in the next second, an icy chill suddenly struck, and before Hong Sun could react, his body was frozen with a layer of crystal-clear ice. Afterwards, Qian Yu casually picked up the layer of ice, and went to join the others in a leisurely manner. Master Qian Yu, you came in time, we almost fell into his hands, Jiraiya said in shock. The other ninjas also agreed, most of them didn't even have the chance to intervene. HMPH, even if Lord Qian Yu doesn't come, I can defeat him, only Naruto said confidently. Uzumaki Naruto has just entered Sage Mode for the first time, so he feels very good about himself, and at the moment he even feels invincible. That's right, Naruto, you can be considered to have entered the Fairy Player mode, which makes me look forward to the result of your next battle with Sasuke. Kai Yu first expressed his praise. Uzumaki Naruto's parents passed away since he was a child, and he has been alone and lonely all the way. What he wants most is the approval of others. Qian Yu's words made him feel happy. It goes without saying that I will definitely win next time. Uzumaki Naruto clenched his fists and said firmly, confidently. It's hard to say. Sage Mode can indeed enhance your overall strength, but it is not omnipotent. For example, the enemy you met just now, you are still not his opponent, Qian Yu said seriously. Naruto was rebellious since he was a child, disobedient to his teacher's discipline, and even caused a lot of trouble to Jiraiya, the spiritual master, but he only listened to Qian Yu's words. I understand, Mr. Qian Yu. I will definitely practice more diligently in the future, and sage mode is by no means my end, Naruto said after thinking for a moment. I'm very pleased that you think so, Qian Yu nodded. After a while, Gaara walked over guiltily, with her head buried low, as if she didn't dare to face Qian Yu. I'm sorry, Master Qian Yu, I have let you down, Gaara said softly. In the attack on Sanagakure this time, Kazekage failed to repel the enemy, but almost died. Without the support of Konoha village and Qian Yu, Sanagakure might have turned into a sea of flames at this moment, and countless people died in this. Thinking of this, Gaara felt extremely guilty, and sincerely asked Qian Yu to punish him. Qian Yu looked at Gaara in front of him, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, he patted Gaara on the shoulder, and raised his head. Gaara, you are the youngest shadow among the 5 great ninja villages, you are already amazing to be able to do this, Naiwa said lightly. But that's not an excuse for me not being good at things, Gaara continued. I suggest that it is better to let Senior Red Sand Scorpion take my place. He is older than me and has a very high attainment in puppetry. He will definitely be able to do better than me, Gaara suggested. Hey, Gaara. What are you talking nonsense about? I'm not qualified to be Kazekage. The melon eaters in the distance didn't expect that they would be involved suddenly, and hurriedly said. In terms of strength alone, Gaara should be slightly inferior to the Red Sand Scorpion, but if the power of Shukaku is added, then Gaara is the strongest in Sanagakure. In addition, the identity of the Red Sand Scorpion is still very sensitive, although with the joint efforts of Gaara and others, Sanagakure people and ninjas have greatly weakened their rejection of Scorpion, and have begun to accept him. However, if a person who once defected from the village and killed Kazekage, he would not be able to take up the position of Kazekage anyway. Scorpion is not suitable for Fengying. I can say with certainty that the most suitable candidate for Sanagakure is you, Qian Yu said, staring at Gaara intently. Instead of trying to hand over Fengying to others, you should improve your strength as much as possible to make yourself more worthy of the name. Only in this way can you truly be worthy of the tens of thousands of villagers in Sanagakure and truly meet their expectations, Yu said earnestly. Gaara was greatly shocked by the continuous words, he quickly digested the meaning expressed by Qian Yu, and slowly realized the core of it. Without warning, Gaara half kneeled on the ground and bowed to Qian Yu with a very devout expression. Thank you Lord Qian Yu for your guidance. I almost went astray just now. I can't be so negative, I will definitely work harder in the future, Gaara said solemnly. Okay, today's matter is over, Jiraiya, the 3 of you can go back. Qian Yu waved his hand. After Qian Yu left Sanagakure, he returned the same way and soon arrived at Kirigakure. He brought the red sun he caught to the research institute. At the moment, Orochimaru is sitting on the soft sofa in the rest area, admiring the 10-fist sword he got, and the more he looks at it, the more joy he feels. Orochimaru was too engrossed to notice Qian Yu's arrival, who coughed slightly. Master Qian Yu, why are you back? Orochimaru quickly put away the 10-fist sword and asked. This is a prisoner I captured. He should be a heavyweight in the Dark Organization. I want you to help me find a way to see if I can control him, Qian Yu said flatly. This. How strong is this person? I'm worried that I won't be able to control him after being iced, Orochimaru said worriedly. I think no one in your research institute is his opponent, but I can't stay here all the time. You have to figure out a way for yourself. Aren't you very smart? Qian Yu directly handed over all matters to Orochimaru to handle alone, and became a hands-off shopkeeper with peace of mind. Although Orochimaru felt helpless, he had no choice but to nod after hesitating for a moment. At the same time, in the majestic and very secret underground palace, Chuyue was taking a nap, but suddenly woke up. She found that she could not perceive any information from the red sun, as if the world had evaporated. Betrayed, or was he killed? Chuyue couldn't determine the result for a while. However, at this moment, someone knocked on her door. Who? Your Majesty, an unknown person broke into the forest. Most likely it is a ninja, because the fluctuation of chakra was detected, but the specific identity of the other party cannot be determined, Fanxing reported. Chuyue immediately guessed that this was probably another ninja sent by Qian Yu to investigate intelligence, so she gave orders to Mingyue Fanxing. This is the fault of the 2 of you. Solve it yourself. Remember, I only have 1 sentence, don't leave a single one alive, Chuyue said expressionlessly. After receiving the order, the 2 immediately went to execute it. I'm sorry, second brother. I'm the one who got you in trouble this time. Otherwise you wouldn't have to run back and forth. Fan Xing said suspiciously. We brothers still have to care about so much. Don't be so ignorant. Mingyue said with a smile. Even if Mingyue was not involved, she would definitely choose to help her third brother. In the lush forest, the air is very fresh, and the grassland is quite flat. A group of people from Yuanyan village walked forward cautiously. Chongjuro, while there is still time, please introduce us to those two enemies, maybe we will meet them later. Dried persimmon ghost suddenly stopped and asked slowly. As a qualified Anbu ninja, Kisame knows very well the truth that knowing oneself and knowing the enemy can only win every battle. Does it need to be so troublesome? No matter what the opponent's ability is, they can't be our opponents, Sasuke said sternly. Ahem, Sasuke, Master Qian Yu means to let us scout the specific location of the Dark Organization, not to fight. Hyuga Neji reminded. Scout? Would you like to see our team configuration this time? Sasuke said lightly. The 7 ninja swordsmen are definitely Kirigakure's most elite unit. On the surface, they are all elite Jonin, but in fact, a few of them have reached the cage level. Plus Sasuke, the current patriarch of the Uchiha family, and Hyuga Neji, the genius of the Hyuga family. This team can be called Kirigakure's facade. Sasuke is right, if the 8 of us are just performing a scouting mission, it would be a bit too overkill. Minazuki Shiro said lightly. Hyuga Neji was stunned, even Minazuki Shiro, who usually listens to Qian Yu's words the most, did this, it was really too weird. The reason why Shuimu Yubai did this was because of Zabuzon's death. She really wanted to avenge Zabi Yuzan. Forget it, Yuan, I will listen to you. Hyuga Neji shrugged his shoulders and said craftily. At the same time, beside a century-old tree in the middle of the forest, the two brothers Fanxing and Mingyue looked at the burly man beside them. The strong man was huge, but he was wrapped in a black overcoat, and the hat on his head was pressed down very low, blocking most of his face, but he could still clearly see the bushy beard at the corner of his mouth. The strong man half kneeled on the ground, his palms touching the ground, as if he was sensing something. There are a total of 8 people on the other side, about 1,000 meters away from here. Their breath is stable, but they can vaguely feel a wave of anger. The strong man slowly stood up straight and said to them. It seems that they are here to seek revenge, Mingyue said loudly. In the last battle, they beheaded and killed 15 ninjas in Kirigakure, except for Chojuro and a member of the Hyuga family, all of them were killed. So what? They are full of anger. Why are we not? If we hadn't let go of those 2 brats, we wouldn't have been killed by Mr. Chuyue. Fan Xing clenched his fists. Although Chuyue didn't punish the 2 of them in substance, in their hearts, even if Chuyue had some dissatisfaction with them, they would feel very uncomfortable. To be precise, the 3 brothers lived for Chuyue. I know you are in a hurry, but the enemy is fierce and there are so many people, we still don't know their details. If each of them is as powerful as the guy with the big knife, even if the 2 of us try our best, we may not be able to withstand it, Mingyue said calmly. Fanxing listened to his words, quickly calmed down the anger in her heart, and kept a calm mind as much as possible. Second brother, you are right, we can't be careless anymore, we must be careful. Fan Xing took a deep breath and responded quickly. Then, the 2 of them decided to send a few white Zetsu monsters to lead the battle, so as to explore the reality of the 8 people. Akazuki gave their brother the right to use 3 white Zetsu monsters before, but each person can transfer up to 50. If they exceed the limit, they must apply to Akazuki. We can mobilize a maximum of 100 white Zetsu monsters, which should be enough, Mingyue said lightly. On the other side, Uchiha Sasuke and Hyuga Neji walked at the front of the line, and the rest lined up one by one. The 2 of them have Sharingan and Beian respectively, both of which are very powerful. The former has super insight and can observe the flow of chakra, and the latter can see through 165 degrees without dead ends. It is really suitable for the 2 of them to open the way in front. Haven't you found any traces of the enemy? Hoshigaki Kisame couldn't help asking. There is no one else outside of us within a few hundred meters, Hyuga Neji responded lightly. So everyone looked at Uchiha Sasuke again, who paused for a moment and shook his head. If he had found something, he would have told the others. However, not long after, a bush not far from them suddenly made a strange sound, which immediately caught the attention of the Kirigakure team, and they hurriedly looked there. The next second, a pale arm stretched out from the bushes, followed by several white Zetsu monsters, and they quickly attacked the ninjas. 8 trigrams palms. Revolving heaven. Hyuga Neji immediately raised his arms and spun them around quickly. The fierce palm wind formed a hemispherical barrier, and all the white Zetsu monsters who rushed over were all blown away by this move. At the same time, Kirigakure and others also entered the fighting state, trying to use their signature ninjutsu. However, these ninjutsu are not powerful advanced ninjutsu, and the damage caused is very limited. The white Zetsu monsters are covered with solid black armor to block their attacks. It's the white Zetsu monsters that appeared last time. These guys have amazing defenses, and ordinary ninjutsu has no effect on them, Chojuro said loudly. Ninjutsu is useless? So illusion can work anyway? Uchiha Sasuke slowly opened the Sharingan. The blood-red hook jade pattern is particularly conspicuous, senau and mysterious. But in the blink of an eye, Sasuke used the group illusion through Sharingan to lock on the approaching white Zetsu monster. Those white Zetsu monsters were shocked and lost consciousness, and their senses entered the illusion space created by the Sharingan. Although Sasuke's genjutsu is far behind his brother Uchiha Itachi's, he can definitely outperform many normal genjutsu ninjas. After a few breaths, these white Zetsu monsters could not bear the pressure due to the attack of the illusion, and one after another lay down on the ground, unconscious. As expected of the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, he can instantly kill so many thorny white Zetsu monsters in a blink of an eye. Yuri Lino Yu couldn't help but praise. The Uchiha family has relatively low qualifications in Kirigakure, but with its strong comprehensive strength, its status in the village is increasing day by day, and there is a vague tendency to gradually become the strongest family. It's just a routine operation, not worth mentioning. Sasuke said modestly, he was not in Versailles, just telling the truth. Because his illusion is really not ranked in the Uchiha family. At this moment, there was another sound from behind the crowd, and the strange figure of white Zetsu rushed out. Not only that, but their people were everywhere. Fire-style great fireball technique. Sasuke blinked his eyes, quickly made a seal, and then stretched out 2 fingers and placed them near his mouth. I saw Sasuke gently spit out a group of flaming giant great fireball, flew out unstoppably. The huge fire knocked down a large number of enemies. The scene was very spectacular. Other ninjas are not to be outdone. All kinds of water-style ninjutsu, fire-style ninjutsu, blood succession limit, and secret techniques flying all over the sky west. It's not that the white Zetsu monsters have become weaker, but that last time the ninja side had very few masters except for Jiraiya Kakashi. Most of them were ordinary Chunin and Jonin. In the clear sky, the sky slowly dimmed, the sun set and was replaced by a brighter moon, hanging in the sky, like a graceful girl. On the branches of a big tree, brothers Fanxing and Mingyue quietly watched the distance, observing the situation over there. These guys are really not ordinary people, so many white Zetsu weirdos are not their opponents, Mingyue said softly. Can the two of us beat them? Fanxing, who was still very arrogant before, was a little more worried and worried. Try it and you'll know. Mingyue folded his palms together suddenly, beams of moonlight shone down on his weird mask, and when the essence of the moonlight penetrated into his veins, his whole body emitted a faint light. Then, he spread out his closed palms, aimed at the front, and waved a white light, which floated and gathered into a human shape. In the end, that light turned into a body exactly like Mingyue. This is Mingyu's unique moon clone. Unlike ordinary clone technique, the moon clone he summons has the same combat power as the main body. This can be said to be unheard of in the ninja world. Even if it is an advanced clone technique like wood-style shadow clone, the evolved clone will be slightly weaker than the main body. However, there are gains and losses, and the moon clone also has great limitations. That is, Mingyue can only be used once in a short period of time, and cannot call out more clones. In addition, if this clone dies in battle, it will also cause heavy damage to Mingyue, causing him to quickly lose half of his power. Let this avatar of mine act as the opponent of those ninjas. We will judge the odds of winning according to the battle situation and formulate countermeasures, Mingyue said slowly. On the other side of the forest, with the joint efforts of everyone in Sasuke, hundreds of eccentrics were quickly wiped out. Although we won without any suspense, but one thing to say, these white Zetsu monsters are really extraordinary, Kisame said with emotion. The fighting power of the white Zetsu monsters is even enough to be equal to that of Jonin, and the most important thing is that they are huge in number. I really don't know how many white Zetsu monsters are behind the dark organization led by Chuyue. If a war is really going to start, the ninja world will suffer a lot in the face of these enemies. We can kill as many enemies as there are, Sasuke said expressionlessly, with a standard paralyzed face. Alright, It's time for us to move on, Minazuki Shiro urged. This time in the forest party, besides wanting to avenge Zabucho, Mizumu Yubai had another plan, which was to find Zabucho's body by the way. However, just as they rectified and were about to move forward, a figure suddenly appeared in front of them. Seeing that face, Chojiro's emotions became extremely intense, and endless anger continued to overflow from his body, as if his breath was warm. It seems that this guy is the culprit who will kill them and never behead them again. Kanshi Kisame noticed Chojiro's expression and suddenly realized. Last time, I was really careless. I actually let you go, a little mouse. I won't make such a mistake this time. Mingyu's clone of the moon has inherited his domineering character. Ice Escape Ice Thorn. Before anyone else could react, Shui Wu Yu Bai was the first to attack, and the hatred accumulated for several days was finally vented at this moment. For a moment, Ice Escape chakra condensed on both sides of Shui Wu Yu Bai, showing many sharp ice thorns, and she suddenly pointed to the bright moon not far away. The ice spikes exuding bursts of chill flocked towards the direction of the bright moon. Shield of the Moon. Facing the sudden attack, Mingyue didn't panic at all, and calmly raised palms, a huge smooth disc. Not long after, the ice thorn cut through the space, and several hurricanes were raised where it passed, hitting the disc. You dare to resist my ice thorns head-on, I can only say that your courage is subdued. Mizumu Yubai snorted coldly, and said disdainfully. His ice escape is a very special type of blood inheritance boundary. The ice formed is extremely hard, not inferior to steel at all. But in the next second, Shui Wuyubai was shocked, because what happened before her eyes was beyond her cognition. Those ice thorns, which were as powerful as a bamboo, shattered after touching the disc. How is this possible? Minazuka-bai said in disbelief. The disc on the front condenses the essence of the moon and has the same root as the moon. Unless your blow can destroy the moon, it can resist it. Mingyue said unhurriedly. All the people present showed shocked gazes. They finally met the so-called enemy, but the defensive power shown by this guy was unimaginable to them. The confidence before coming here has now become flustered. Everyone, take a few steps back one after another. The technique I'm going to perform next covers a very wide range, so I won't affect you later. Ganshi Guishui stepped forward suddenly and said. After everyone did it truthfully, Ganshi Guishui took a sharp breath, and his entire stomach became a little bigger. Water-style big explosion water rush. Immediately afterwards, Hoshigaki Kisame opened his mouth and violently spewed out huge waves. The large oval-shaped water prison swept everything in a radius of several hundred meters and swallowed Mingyue directly. It's really an interesting technique, but it's not very useful to me, Mingyue said calmly. Mingyue snapped her fingers, and a faint light flashed out, dispelling the surrounding water. Thousands of food sharks. Dried persimmon ghost shark shouted loudly in the tide. Hoshigaki Kisame is known as the tailed beast without a tail, and has an extremely large number of chakra, and he uses chakra to create hundreds of fierce sharks. Although these sharks were formed by chakra, they have physical bodies, and each one opened their mouths to reveal extremely sharp copper teeth. Following Qianshi Guisha loud shout, those sharks rushed towards the bright moon ferociously. Interesting, since it can create thousands of sharks at the same time, ordinary ninjas can't do it. Mingyue praised generously. Treasure your last chance to speak, you will be eaten by thousands of sharks soon. Kaishi Kisame said with a serious face. Zai Bu Zan is his colleague. The relationship between the two is very close, and slowly evolved into friends. The friendship between Kisame and Zabuzan turned into his monstrous anger, which provided him with a steady stream of power and guided him to fight. Mingyue remained calm. He stretched out a finger, and drew some weird patterns in front of him. Soon, those patterns connected together and turned into a crescent-shaped moon. The volume of this moon continued to shrink, and finally it was only as small as a thumbnail. And this crescent-shaped pattern slowly floated in front of Mingyue and attached to his forehead. Mingyue Aurora. Mingyue moved her mouth. A beam of bright moonlight sprayed out from the pattern on his forehead, getting thicker and longer, launching an indiscriminate attack towards the surrounding area. Once those sharks are touched by this moonlight, they will be immediately destroyed by its powerful power. In just a few breaths, most of the thousands of sharks that Ganzu Kisame worked so hard to create were lost. Seeing this, Kisame realized that this move could not cause damage to the enemy, so he quickly swam towards the bright moon. In the process, Hoshigaki Kisame took out the ninja sword Samahata from his back and incorporated it into his body. This is a very special fusion state of Kisame. His body mutated immediately, and his whole body turned into a half-human appearance. In this form, the dried persimmon ghost shark not only swims faster, but also has extremely strong perception and the ability to absorb chakra. Didn't you take the initiative to die? Then I will fulfill you. Seeing the dried persimmon ghost shark flying towards him, Mingyue said lightly. Mingyue aimed at Kisame and sent the beam of moonlight flying towards him, successfully hitting Hoshigaki Kisame. Afterwards, the dried persimmon ghost screamed, and it disintegrated into a lot of water, which merged with the surrounding waves. Water body technique. That's right, you can actually use the clone technique without my eyes, Mingyue said while carefully observing her surroundings. In the next second, a pair of solid arms suddenly hugged him tightly from behind. I admit that you are very strong, stronger than any opponent I have encountered before, but no matter how powerful a person is, if there is no chakra, there will be no waves. Gonshi Gixi showed a proud smile. Mingyu's strength is certainly strong, and this is the first time Gonshi Kisame has fought against him. Although the opponent always uses moves one after another, which he has never seen before, this does not affect his ultimate goal. In his plan. It turns out that this is your purpose. I thought you wanted to get close to me and fight hand to hand, Mingyue said lightly. Why is this happening? Why can't I feel the fluctuation of chakra from your body? Kisame opened his eyes wide and checked repeatedly, but found no abnormality. For the sake of your hard work, I will reluctantly tell you the answer. It's not a secret anyway. While speaking, Mingyue moved her arms, and easily pushed away Hoshigaki Kisame who was hugging him firmly. Hoshigaki Kisame's wrist strength is very strong, and there are few enemies in Kirigakure, but in front of Mingyue, he is like a fragile piece of paper, which can be pushed down. Because I don't have a trace of chakra on me, so no matter how much you smoke it, it's useless, Mingyue replied. I don't understand how you can unleash so many powerful moves if you really don't have chakra. Dried persimmon Kisame quickly stabilized his body and made a rebuttal. All my power comes from the moon. Even if you destroy the moon, with the energy I store, it can last for a long time, Mingyue narrated lightly. Just when the dried persimmon ghost was dazed, Mingyue swung out a palm quickly, forming a huge shockwave. Hoshigaki Kisame was hit directly by the shockwave, and the whole person flew out of the huge wave. The power of the shockwave was very powerful, and it directly severely injured Kisame, and this powerful environmental ninjutsu also disappeared. Qian Yu, who came out of the research institute, decided to go to the forest. According to the information from his avatar, the 7 ninja swordsmen were fighting fiercely with the enemy. The avatar was originally going to help Sasuke and the others, but was stopped by Qian Yu. Chuyu's subordinates are definitely more difficult than each other, but even so, they can't help Sasuke unless it is absolutely necessary, Qian Yu said slowly. Uchiha Sasuke, Hoshigaki Kisame, Chongjuro. These people are all the elite of Kirigakure, and they are also the pillars of the ninja world. Although they are already extremely powerful now, they are far from enough in Qian Yu's eyes. And if you want to make a person strong, the only way is to hone it through actual combat. The Dark Organization led by Chuyue is the most suitable training partner for these people. In Qian Yu's view, it is a good thing for Sasuke and the others to experience setbacks and obstacles, which can further stimulate the potential in their bodies, thus showing great explosive power. The main purpose of Qian Yu's visit to the forest this time was also to find clues about Chuyue. But when he was halfway there, he saw a black gate not far away. It was very dark inside, and there were layers of uzumaki, leading to nowhere. Qian Yu recognized this door, and this was the method used when he met Chuyue for the first time a few days ago when she ran away. Don't worry, I don't intend to start a war with you yet, I just want to invite you to have a cup of tea with me. Chuyu's voice came softly from the door. Huh. You still have such a leisurely mood. No matter how you look at it, it looks like a grand banquet, and you are so close to telling me what kind of conspiracy you are planning, Qian Yu said lightly. Why isn't the dignified master of the ninja world afraid? This really surprised me. I thought you were fearless, Chuyue responded sarcastically. Don't worry, I'm not such a despicable villain, I just want to chat with you, but if you still dare not, forget it, Chuyue continued. After thinking for a while, Qian Yu decided to go in and find out. Anyway, he was very confident in his ability at this time. Even if Chuyue played tricks behind his back, it was absolutely impossible to put him to death. Ever since, Qian Yu swaggered into the door. Inside was a long tunnel with no end in sight. But before taking a few steps, the road ended inexplicably. On the other side of the door is a very wide courtyard, which seems to be a very unique space, because it is closed in all directions. You're here, Qian Yu. I knew you'd come in eventually. Chuyu said with a smile. Following the direction of the sound, Qian Yu looked over, and saw a woman with yellow hair sitting lazily on a reclining chair. There was a table in front of her with 2 cups of tea on it. It has to be said that although Chuyue is Qian Yu's enemy, she has nothing to say about her appearance. Her fair skin is crystal clear, and her face is extremely handsome, as if she is an exquisite doll. The most terrible thing is Chuyu's eyes, which seem to have special effects of charm, and Qian Yu's heart is surging when she looks at it. But Qian Yu quickly corrected his mentality. No matter how beautiful this woman is, she is only his enemy, and not just an ordinary enemy. Qian Yu walked over slowly and sat on a chair opposite Chuyue, but he seemed a little uncomfortable. You must have a lot of questions you want to ask me, right? Chuyue broke the silence first, staring at Qian Yu intently. Of course, what are you going to do? Since we come from the same world, this is a great fate. Strictly speaking, the 2 of us are fellow villagers, shouldn't we coexist peacefully? Qian Yu said. Ha ha ha, Qian Yu. Do you think this is playing house? Are you still living in peace? This world is different from ours. Chuyue replied. This is an extremely simple world of the jungle, Chuyue said thoughtfully. Chuyue didn't want to talk too much about this issue, so she slowly shifted the topic to Qian Yu. Do you want to create a peaceful ninja world? Do you want to completely end the disputes in the ninja world? Chuyue showed a disdainful expression. Wake up, buddy. Don't have this kind of daydream anymore. The peace you thought was just a flash in the pan. Chuyue continued. You were wrong. Now I am the master of the ninja world. In the world of Hokage, one is the same. Under my leadership, the 5 major ninja villages have put aside their grievances and moved towards peace. What else can you say about that? Qian Yu immediately retorted. However, his words made Chuyue laugh out loud, which was mixed with ridicule and contempt. You have indeed set up a brand new ninja world order. As far as it is concerned, everyone is following it well, but this is only temporary. Chuyue took a deep breath. Temporary. You are too arbitrary. You remember Senju Hashirama. They ended the Sengoku strife, first created the village, other ninjas followed, and then ushered in the Age of Peace. Chuyue said slowly. Then do you know how this so-called peace came about? Didn't it come by relying entirely on Hashirama's strength? The ninjas in other villages are afraid of his powerful power, so they can only follow his wishes. Hearing Chuyu's words, Qian Yu fell into deep thought. She had to say that Chuyue was somewhat reasonable, and what she said was an out-and-out fact. That kind of peaceful order was completely broken until Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama passed away one after another, so I say, this kind of peace is simply ridiculous. Akazuki emphasized again. Qian Yu didn't know how to continue to answer for a while, his brain was spinning rapidly, thinking about the words of rebuttal. Qian Yu. What's the difference in the peace you're after? Chuyue looked at him straight, and asked in a voice. The scene fell into silence for a while. Chuyue looked at Qian Yu, who avoided her gaze. What Chuyue said was something that Qian Yu had never thought about. Since traveling to the world of Hokage, he has thought of things very powerfully, and what is in front of him is one copy after another. Along the way, Qian Yu passed the level, beheaded countless enemies, and relied on his strength to get to the current situation. The things that can be solved by fighting in the air nothing. This is Qian Yu's common way of thinking. This thinking does not seem to be a big problem, but there are also limitations that cannot be overcome. Qian Yu suddenly felt that what Chuyue said was very reasonable. At the same time, he also began to doubt, thinking about whether the brand new ninja world he had established was reasonable. If we really wait until after he dies, or when he leaves this world, will the ninja world return to its original appearance, full of all kinds of wars? No matter how Qian Yu deduces, he can't predict what the future will look like. No matter how optimistic he is, he can't ignore such a possibility. Why are you silent all of a sudden? Do you also think what I said makes sense? Chuyue showed a playful smile. You are the same as Senju Hashirama. You are both too naive and believe in the goodness of people too much, so you both make the same mistake, thinking that you can easily create a completely peaceful world. Akazuki continued. So what exactly do you want to do? What is your ultimate goal? Qian Yu didn't know how to answer, so he initiated a question. As the saying goes, where there are people, there are rivers and lakes, and in this world of ninjas, as long as ninjas exist, real peace will never be achieved. Chuyue took a deep breath and developed her own surrender. Half a year ago, Chuyue, who was shopping in the real world, suddenly fell into a coma and lost consciousness. During the whole process, she had a very headache and felt that her body seemed to be being pulled by something. I don't know how long it took before Chuyue opened her eyes, and what she saw was an extremely strange room. A few days later, after a short period of adaptation, Chuyue found that she unexpectedly traveled to the world of Hokage. But unlike Qian Yu, the identity she travels through is just an ordinary villager. Her family belongs to a remote village in the Land of Fire. After carefully checking the condition of her body, Chuyue gasped. This time travel was very different from what he had imagined. She was not even a ninja, let alone chakra. Fortunately, there is no unparalleled road. Although her time-traveling status is very poor, she still has the cheat bestowed by heaven. Relying on the power brought by the system, Chuyue completed an earth-shaking transformation in a very short period of time. After Chuyue became stronger, the first thing she did was to kill all the people in the village and pretend to be who had been attacked by wild beasts. After doing all this, Chuyue left the village and went to the depths of the forest to start building her fantasy underground palace step by step. Slowly, Chuyue also began to collect a lot of information about the ninja world. At this time, a man named Qian Yu also appeared in her sight during this period. It turns out that I'm not the only one who traveled here. Chuyue quickly came to a conclusion. Qian Yu's every move is incompatible with the aborigines in the Hokage world, so Chuyue was able to come to such a judgment immediately. During this long period of time, Chuyue has been hiding in the dark, and she knows all about Qian Yu's information. Based on these, she has been constantly compiling her own plan. Could it be that you want to kill all the ninjas in this world? Qian Yu said in shock. No matter how you listen to this matter, it feels extremely shocking. The answer is correct, but my actions will not be implemented so quickly. My first goal is to strengthen my own strength, and then I will find a way to defeat you. Chuyue said very calmly. Listening to her tone, it seems that defeating Qian Yu is a very easy thing to do, like picking something out of a pocket. I have also figured out how to deal with you. I will not keep you mercilessly. The only thing waiting for you is death. Chuyue exuded a cold killing intent all over her body. Qian Yu never expected that Chuyue would declare war on him so decisively and say such arrogant words. Qian Yu wasn't frightened too much, and randomly released a strong aura to fight against Chuyue. Don't be so excited, Qian Yu. Although I think so, I don't intend to start a war with you now. There is no need for this game to end so soon. Seeing Qian Yu's appearance, Chuyue put away herself in an instant with killing intent, he said with a smile. It's as if nothing happened just now. According to Qian Yu's observation, he also realized that Chuyue in front of him was not the real body, but just a phantom. It seems that what Chuyue said is actually true. She really didn't want to fight Qian Yu at this time. I don't know whether killing you will directly take your life or return you to the real world, but no matter what the result is, I will not change my mind. Chuyue continued. After you die, I will take over your position as the master of the ninja world, and do many things that I want to do. When I feel that the game is almost done, I will kill all the ninjas. Chuyue softly said. Fantasy is always very beautiful, but reality is often very cruel. Do you really think you are sure that you can defeat me? How much do you know about my strength? In a short time, a chilling air wafted from behind Qian Yu, and everything around him was frozen. If my guess is correct, this is the cheat your system brought you, frozen fruit from Pirate World. Chuyue said without changing her face. In addition to frozen fruit, you also have the power of 6 paths. Thinking about it carefully, it is indeed very tricky. Chuyue said lightly. For what Chuyue said, Qian Yu didn't feel too much surprise. After all, these abilities of hers have long been no secret, and most people in the ninja world are very clear about it. It's just that they didn't know that the ability to freeze came from devil fruit, and they didn't even know what devil fruit was. Shizong used Qian Yu's ability as blood succession boundary ice escape. Frozen fruit, combined with the power of 6 paths, is really tricky. Search all over the world. I'm afraid there is no one who can be your opponent. Chuyue continued. But I'm different. I'm a time traveler, and I also have my own system. You still don't know the power that the system brings to me. In the next second, Chuyue suddenly changed the topic, and said very proudly, as if everything in the world was under his control. At this moment, Qian Yu knew very little about Chuyue. He only knew that the opponent had a huge army of white Zetsu monsters and several powerful subordinates. As for Chuyue's personal ability, Qian Yu has only seen an ability to travel through space at will, and knows nothing about the others. According to the comparison of the information at hand, Chu Yue takes the initiative and has a great advantage. I'm asking you, Qian Yu, do you know why I suddenly invited you to my private tea party? Chu Yue raised her teacup and drank the full tea. You want to influence me, put me in a state of worry, and then wait for me to show my flaws, and then attack immediately, I guess, right? Backquote. Qian Yu said without thinking. Hearing Qian Yu's answer, Chu Yue clapped her palms a few times, then showed a playful smile, and gestured with a cross. Wrong. Big mistake, your imagination is indeed rich, but I don't have so much thought, Chu Yue said lightly. Then what do you mean? The reason I called you over for a chat is entirely because I feel bored and want to talk to you, and I also feel that I am 100% sure that I can win, Chu Yue said slowly. She exudes strong self-confidence both in and out of the words, and she doesn't seem to be bluffing. You are daydreaming. If there is nothing else, I will leave. I still have important things to do. Qian Yu turned his head as he spoke, and pretended to leave. But just 2 steps away, Chu Yue suddenly moved in front of him, staring at him harmlessly. I know what you want to do. I want to search for my trace while your ninjas are making trouble in the forest, Chu Yue said lightly. So what if it is, and what if it's not? Qian Yu has no interest in continuing to chat with this woman, and just wants to leave this ghostly place as soon as possible. However, Chu Yue stretched casually and let out a pleasant cry. It's impossible for me to guess wrong. Your intentions are already on your face, and your acting ability needs to be improved. But I still advise you to give up that idea, so as to save a trip in vain, Chu Yue reminded kindly. At this moment, Qian Yu was very angry. Why did this woman always play cards out of routine, as if she knew everything? But the more Chu Yue stopped him, the more he wanted to find out. Qian Yu's rebellious spirit was very strong. Therefore, Qian Yu ignored Chu Yu's words, and directly stepped forward, passing through the phantom of Chu Yue. If we really meet each other, we will meet each other in battle. I hope you will take care of yourself. Chu Yue looked at Qian Yu's leaving back and muttered softly. At the same time, in the underground palace. This palace is very magnificent, definitely not inferior to the palace built by Qian Yu in Kirigakure. Chu Yue also plans to wait until the event is completed to build a more magnificent, more advanced, and more extravagant palace. Correspondingly, the resident personnel inside the palace is also a huge number. Throwing away the mass-produced white Zetsu weirdo army, the others can add up to over 10,000. In the central square of the palace, countless people lined up here to enter the Black Uzumaki Gate. The second floor of Chu Yue Square, overlooking the retreat of the subordinates, has the demeanor of a queen. Qian Yu, you never expected to be slapped by me again, Chu Yue said softly to the air. In fact, the reason why Chu Yue suddenly invited Qian Yu to chat with her phantom in a different space and drink tea was entirely because she wanted to procrastinate for 850 hours. This palace stands under the forest. If Qian Yu really came, she would be able to break into it in a short time, which would deal a huge blow to her base camp. This is not what Chu Yue wants to see, so she could only rush to drag Qian Yu's arrival. Taking advantage of this gap, Chu Yue hastily issued an order to transfer the base camp. Chu Yue figured out the location of the base a long time ago, because she always felt that the forest was not a safe place, and would be discovered by those sharp-eyed ninjas sooner or later. The Black Uzumaki Gate in the center of the square is connected to the small world that Chu Yue created with her own ability. This world is not too big, about half the size of the Land of Fire. There is land and water in it. Except for the lack of light, everything else can be said to be readily available. After all, no matter how powerful Chu Yue is, she can't move the sun and the moon together. Hurry up, take all the research equipment and materials, and don't leave anything useful, Chu Yue shouted loudly. 2 figures walked behind her cautiously. My lady queen, Ming Yue stammered. Huh? Why are you 2? Shouldn't you be fighting those Kirigakure ninjas outside at this time? Chu Yue asked in surprise. It's like this, Her Majesty Queen. The people who came here this time are all elites. There are a large number of them, and they are all extremely powerful. We are worried that they will. Fan Xing said tremblingly. All the battles in the forest are taken over by Mingyu's avatar, although judging from the current situation, the situation is towards them. But Mingyue, who was watching the battle from behind, knew very well that this battle was by no means as simple as she imagined. Hoshigaki Kisame, Minazuki Shiro, Uchiha Sasuke, Hyuga Neji, Chojuro, Demon Light Full Moon. Everyone in this team is a famous ninja existence, and their individual fighting ability is even stronger. Once they cooperate in the battle, the two brothers Mingyong and Fanqing will have little chance of winning. So, after thinking for a long time, they decided to come back and report the truth to Chuyue. I beg Her Majesty the Queen to punish us. It is because we are not capable enough to share your worries, and even ran over to disturb you. Mingyue knelt down on the ground and sincerely begged. Mingyu's younger brother, Fanqing, followed suit, and the two buried their heads very low. My Lord Queen, please believe us. We are definitely not afraid of death. We are just worried that trying to be brave will lead to the loss of the battle, which will lead to greater losses. Mingyue continued. Chuyue stood there, quietly listening to their words. Get up. Why would I punish you? You did the right thing, Chuyue said lightly. The hearts of the two brothers Mingyue and Fanqing trembled, as if a very fragile place had been touched. I sent you to fight before, because I want you to atone for your crimes, but if the enemy's strength is too strong, there is no need to continue fighting. Chuyue continued. On the contrary, you know that you are invincible, and it is commendable for you to report to me honestly. Chuyue is the creator of these people, and she knows each of them very well. The others are fine, but these three brothers are more arrogant than the other. This kind of arrogance will make them suffer a lot sooner or later, so when she learned the ins and outs of the matter, Chuyue felt very relieved, and she was very satisfied with the performance of these two people. What Chuyue didn't know was that Hong Ri, the strongest and most capable of the three, was caught and studied by Qian Yu because of his arrogance. Thank you, Her Majesty Queen, for your praise, Mingyue and Fanqing replied cautiously. You have also seen that I just issued an order to move, so you should follow them there too. Chuyue pointed to the huge black door below, and said to the two of them. Ah. This is not good, your lady queen. If we leave, what will we do with those ninjas? My avatar won't last long, Mingyue said worriedly. Don't worry, I will arrange new opponents for them, Shang Chuyue said lightly. At the same time, in the lush forest, dried persimmon Kisame struggled to get up from the ground, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. He paid a great price for his underestimation of the enemy just now. No wonder Bujan will be folded in your hand, Hoshigaki Kisame said with a frown. If you want to blame, you can only blame you for being too weak, Mingyu's clone mocked mercilessly. At this moment, Uchiha Sasuke slowly walked forward from behind, still with that paralyzed face, as if he couldn't understand everything in this world. Kisame, step back first, let me deal with this arrogant guy. I promise to beat him to death, Uchiha Sasuke said vowedly. Ha 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 ha, are you ninjas just trash? Mingyue laughed. Kisame heard Uchiha Sasuke's words and obediently backed away, and Minazuki Shiro used medical ninjutsu to heal him. It has to be said that Minazuki Shiro's talent is still very high. Not only is he extremely good at ice escape, but he is also at the top of Kirigakure in terms of medical ninjutsu. Don't be so impulsive next time, don't just turn on the big one as soon as you come up, Minzuzuyubai reminded. Bad. Mainly because I'm too confident in myself, Hoshigaki Kisame said with a sigh. Hoshigaki Kisami's ninjutsu that can change the environment can be said to be his bottom-of-the-box skill. Since he learned it, he can easily defeat his opponent every time he releases it. No one could resist his combined ninjutsu, so he rushed up with the determination of his life, but he was slapped in the face by someone. You can't do this next time. What do you think is Sasuke's chance of winning? Minazuki Shiro asked, staring at Sasuke's back. How should I put it? I'm sure Sasuke has a better chance of winning. That guy's Mangekyo Sharingan is not a show, Hoshigaki Kisame concluded quickly. In the entire Hokage world, there are only a handful of people who can open the Mangekyo Sharingan. There is not a single weak chicken, and they are all enough to fight against 10,000. And Uchiha Sasuke is not only the best in this generation of Uchiha family except Uchiha Itachi, he also has the identity of the reincarnation of Indra Chakra. Without the addition of outsiders like Chuyue Qianyu, Sasuke can almost be regarded as the candidate representing the strongest combat power in the world. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. But in the blink of an eye, Uchiha Sasuke launched an attack, took out a few shurikens from his pocket, and threw them out. Those shurikens split apart at a speed visible to the naked eye, and finally turned into thousands, like a downpour from the sky. Facing the overwhelming ninja tools, Mingyue summoned a hard disk again, and blocked Sasuke's attack effortlessly. The next second, Mingyue looked back suddenly, only to see that Sasuke had run behind him at some point and launched a sneak attack on him. I have seen through your actions a long time ago, and you dare to use your axe in front of me with such a small trick. Mingyue snorted coldly. Immediately, Mingyue used the crescent imprint planted on her forehead to shoot several laser beams in the direction Sasuke was flying towards. The laser beams approached with lightning speed, but Sasuke didn't panic. Instead, a smirk appeared on the corner of his mouth. The laser beams hit Uchiha Sasuke without any suspense. With a loud noise, a fleeting thick smoke came out of Sasuke's body, turned into a shuriken, and was shattered by the laser. When did you change to an avatar? Mingyue opened her mouth and said in shock. However, before Mingyue had time to react, he heard bursts of thunder coming from above his head. The right hand of Uchiha Sasuke's main body is braving electric light, and the condensed Reikari power is enormous, rushing towards him. That's my real goal, Sasuke said softly. Because Sasuke appeared so suddenly, Mingyue had no chance to dodge at all, and could only watch the enemy pounce. Reikari, who emitted a strong electric light, hit Mingyue's arm, piercing through it directly, and half of the arm fell to the ground. What surprised Sasuke was that the guy didn't leave a drop of blood. Unexpectedly, I'm just a clone. Since you ruined one arm, I can only retreat first, and then look for an opportunity to attack you. Mingyue's clone sneered and left quickly. Uchiha Sasuke rushed up to catch up, but he was in vain. Mingyue's speed was too fast, and the man didn't have chakra fluctuations on him. After chasing for a short distance, Sasuke had no choice but to go back the same way. It is a big taboo to go deep alone. But when Sasuke came back, he saw Hoshigaki Kisame with a depressed face. After fighting for a long time, I didn't even recognize the main body in the avatar, Gonshi Guishui said with an ugly expression. He began to doubt himself, whether his strength was too weak, which caused him to be beaten by the clone. If it weren't for his teammates to support him, I'm afraid his end would be the same as Zabuzan, or even worse. Don't be depressed, that guy is definitely not an ordinary clone, Sasuke said lightly. What do you mean by that? Gonshi Guizhou asked puzzledly. I think so too. Chojuro also stood up and said. Chojuro is the most qualified to comment among the crowd, because he is the only one who has fought against Mingyue at close range, and he also knows the most about Mingyue. And according to Chojuro's judgment, the Mingyue that appeared just now has almost the same fighting power as the one he encountered with Zabuzan before. Unless the enemy we encountered before is a clone, this clone definitely has the power of the main body, Chojuro said firmly. There is another point, which should be regarded as evidence. If is really an ordinary clone technique, he doesn't need to summon only one clone, he can definitely create a few more. Wouldn't this string cause a greater blow to us? Uchiha Sasuke added. Hoshigaki Kisame can be defeated by just one clone, but if a dozen clones are arranged to attack at the same time, they will definitely be difficult to parry. These words made sense. Gonshi Gixi also felt a lot better in his heart, and his depression was swept away. However, Uchiha Sasuke frowned. This time the enemy was more difficult than they had imagined before, and they really didn't know what was waiting for them in front of them. Okay, everyone, let's move on. Sasuke clenched his fists and said. As the saying goes, when soldiers come to block, water comes to cover. Blindly worrying will only discourage their fighting spirit, and the matter has come to this point. They should have an aura that they will never return if they don't break Lulan. No matter how powerful the enemy is, he still has one head and two eyes, so he can't have 3 heads and 6 arms. However, Ghost Lamp Full Moon did not immediately respond to Uchiha Sasuke, nor did he follow. Isn't it a little too reckless for us to do this? Gaidong Manue said with lingering fear. Kirigakure Full Moon is a young talent from the old Kirigakure family. He is very talented. It is said that he is the person who is most familiar with ninja swords and has mastered the usage of each ninja sword. The enemy may have laid an ambush in front of us, and is waiting for us to come to our door. Isn't this a sheep in the mouth of a tiger? Ghost Lantern Full Moon continued. Originally, everyone in Kirigakure was determined to win this mission. They are the favored ones of heaven, and they are quite confident in their abilities. But Mingyu's appearance brought a major blow to Ghost Lantern Full Moon. The road ahead is very dangerous, but this is the fate of our ninjas. Although under the command of Mr. Qian Yu, our ninja world has established a rare peaceful scene, but this cannot change the fact that our ninjas are accompanied by death, Sasuke said expressionlessly. What Sasuke said is the bloody truth, which every ninja cannot avoid. How many years older than me are you? Why don't you even have this awareness? If you are afraid, go back as soon as possible, I will not stop you. Sasuke turned his head to Bo and said heartily. Minzuki Bai hurriedly went up to hold the ghost lamp full of moon, with a worried face. Sasuke has always spoken so aggressively, don't be offended. It's okay, I understand, I was not strong enough just now, Sasuke taught me the lesson. Ghost Lantern Moon nodded heavily. For them, this was just a small episode on the way of this mission, and then they were ready to go, and continued to walk towards the depths of the forest. I don't know why, the deeper you go into the forest, the fewer animals around you, not to mention wild boars and deer, you can't even see sparrows, the atmosphere becomes weird, and the air is full of unrest breath. Everyone be careful. I always have an ominous premonition in my heart, inexplicable panic, and be ready to fight at any time. Hyuga Neji reminded everyone. No matter how carefully Neji checked his surroundings with his white eyes, he found nothing. Black Mist Lock Technique. At this moment, a powerful voice came from all directions. I couldn't find the source of the voice, but I felt that the other party seemed to be right in front of my eyes. Hearing this strange sound, the ninjas of Kirigakure took out their ninja swords one after another, and looked around vigilantly, not daring to be careless. The thick black fog came out of nowhere and spread at an extremely fast speed. In a short time, the entire area of hundreds of meters was covered by this black fog. For a moment, the sights of the Kirigakure ninjas headed by Uchiha Sasuke were all blocked by the black mist. This is the enemy's trap, everyone get close together, Qianshi Guishang shouted with all his might. At first, his voice was very clear, and everyone approached the center very cooperatively, but after walking for a long time, they were surprised to find that their companions seemed to be getting farther and farther away from them. At the same time, the shouts from each other also slowly dissipated, and they seemed to have become solitary boats in the black mist, losing contact with the outside world. Uchiha Sasuke quickly sorted out his thoughts from the chaos, slowly sat on the ground, trying to make himself rational, and then he used the Sharingan to observe the black fog, but it was useless. These black mist are not condensed with chakra, Sharingan has nothing to do with him. Damn, the most worrying thing didn't happen, Sasuke said weakly. Their overall strength is very strong, and they cooperate very well. Except for Sasuke Neji, the rest are all members of the 7 ninja swordsmen, and they have been fighting side by side for a long time. The members of these 7 ninja swordsmen can be combined to produce an effect that 1 + 1 is greater than 2. Yet the enemy has used such cunning to keep them apart that their advantage would be wiped out if they were broken one by one. The most important thing is that in this situation, the life and death of the companion is uncertain, and everyone will become very flustered, like a frightened bird, which is easier to deal with. In the next second, a familiar figure came out of the black mist. After seeing that person's face, Sasuke's expression changed dramatically at a speed visible to the naked eye. No more beheading. Didn't you get killed by the enemy? How did you come back to life? Didn't they attack you? Sasuke said in shock. From the moment they met Zabuchi again, Sasuke naturally let go of all his defenses, Zabuchi was their companion. However, something that shocked Sasuke even more happened very quickly. Zabuku took out the beheading sword from behind with no expression on his face, and looked at Sasuke full of hostility. In the next second, Zabuzan jumped up quickly without any warning, swung the beheading sword in his hand and slashed towards Sasuke. If you don't cut it again, what are you doing? I am Uchiha Sasuke, we are all partners in the same village. Sasuke shouted loudly while dodging. It's just that if you don't cut it again, it's as if you can't hear his voice, and you keep attacking, with no intention of stopping at all. You should just say something, if you mess around again, I won't be polite. Sasuke's temper followed suit. I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't know you, and I've never seen you before. I was just ordered to kill you. Zabuzan then spoke, but he was extremely indifferent. Order? Whose order? Sasuke's face was full of question marks. My Lady Queen's order, you don't need to know too much, because you are already a dying person. Zaibuzan said coldly, it didn't look like it was pretending. It seems that you have been brainwashed, Sasuke guessed. This is an extremely difficult problem. If you are fighting an outsider, then Sasuke just needs to do his best to kill him. But the person who is fighting with him in front of him is his former companion, how can he kill him? But the other party obviously doesn't remember what happened before, and it must be for his life. What should I do? Just when Sasuke was still in a dilemma, Zabuza launched an attack again, thrusting the beheading knife into the ground on one side, freeing up his hands to seal. Water-style water dragon bomb. I saw that there were many complicated marks formed. Soon, The water dragon formed by the condensed water-style chakra rushed over with the momentum of thunder, and its power was very powerful. Fire-style great fireball technique. Seeing the approaching ninjutsu, Sasuke quickly used fire-style to resist, and spit out a huge fireball burning with fire from his mouth. The fireball and the water dragon collided, and the high temperature and water produced a lot of white water vapor, and the ninjutsu of the two disappeared. Water body technique. Buu-zan transformed into two clones, and the three figures ran towards Sasuke from different directions, trying to double-team him. In the process of running, the three Zhabu-zan all used the water prison technique in their palms. Water prison is Zabuzan's most skilled ninjutsu. As long as you successfully get close to the enemy, you can imprison the opponent. Sasuke is also a member of Kirigakure. Naturally, he knows this ninjutsu very well, so he hastily retreated and dodged, but Zabuzan behind him has blocked his way. "Don't cut the peach land again, you forced me." Sasuke was in a dilemma, and shouted loudly with his heart broken. In the next second, a large number of chakras emerged from Sasuke's body, and these chakras slowly materialized under the manipulation of Mangekyo Sharingan, transforming into a large purple skeleton and veins. Sasuke once again used the Uchiha family's winning secret, Susanoo. Soon, the three rushed forward and used water prison technique on him, but he still underestimated Susanoo's strength after all. In the blink of an eye, the tremendous power that Susanoo erupted bounced off Zhabu-zan, and the two clones were also scattered. Zhabu-zan hit the boulder, his face showed bitterness, and strands of bright red blood flowed out from his horns. "Give up. Don't kill again. Although you are a member of the 7 ninja swordsmen, you are not my opponent. If you continue to fight, you will be the only one who dies," Sasuke said. "My Lady Queen's death order to me is to kill you. Only one of us can survive. Even if I lose, it doesn't matter. I can only blame me for being too weak and living up to her Lady Queen's expectations." Zaibuko stretched out his palm to wipe off the blood from his mouth, and replied lightly. Sharingan illusion. Uchiha Sasuke took advantage of the moment when he didn't kill himself, and quickly launched an illusion to invade the heart of the other party. He wanted to break the control of the people of the Dark Organization on him. Zabuzan lost consciousness all of a sudden, and fell into a world of illusion where he couldn't see his fingers. Sasuke, the caster, is the master of this world. He can make Zabuzan experience endless pain and torture his mind. However, this is Sasuke's method to deal with the enemy. Strictly speaking, he is still his companion. He has suspected for a long time that he must have been hit by the enemy's illusion, so he will sacrifice his life for others. So Sasuke has been waiting for such an opportunity from the beginning to the end. As long as he strikes accurately, he may really be able to defeat the enemy's illusion, so that Zabuzan can regain his sanity. But Sasuke still thinks things are too simple. According to his observation, Zabuzan didn't fall into the illusion, so how did he be controlled? He couldn't be the one who actively served the so-called queen, could he? Sasuke didn't believe that Zabuza would do such absurd things. In Sasuke's heart, Zabuza has always been a very reliable ninja. He not only does things reliably, but also values his companions. Just when Sasuke was thinking, he didn't grab the gap any longer, but abruptly broke through the illusion that Sasuke had imposed on him, and successfully regained consciousness. "Take my move, water-style water pressure." Zabuzan adjusted his breathing and made another move. I saw a huge gap in the sky above Sasuke's location, like a gate, and tons of water columns fell from the gate. "I told you that you were not my opponent, but you still don't give up." Sasuke didn't dodge, just took the pressure of the water like this. A large amount of water flow with great pressure crushed Sasuke's shoulders, but Susanoo's hardness was obviously superior. Susanoo straightened up suddenly, pushing away all the jets of water. Uchiha Sasuke exploded again. Waves of huge and turbulent abilities gushed out from his body, and deeply fused with Susanoo. The combination of the purple skeleton and the intertwined veins changed, and the appearance became more and more human-like. The limbs, head, and feet all appeared, and Sasuke also entered the core space above Susanoo's head. After this transformation, Susanoo's body size has more than tripled, standing like a tall and straight mountain, releasing a great sense of oppression. "If you don't cut it, is it still necessary to continue fighting?" Sasuke asked aloofly. "I won't bow my head to you. Her Lady Queen is watching my performance from a distance." Zaibu-zan didn't have the slightest expression of fear, but looked faintly into the distance. "Your Lady Queen. Don't worry, I won't let you down," Zabuzan said firmly. Sasuke sighed a lot when he saw the appearance of Buja. he was too poisoned, and I am afraid that no matter how much he said, it would not help the matter, so he had to be kicked off the line first. Come on, Susanoo, Sasuke said flatly. Under Sasuke's control, the gigantic Susanoo clenched his fist tightly and punched hard in the direction of no longer cutting. This punch is extremely powerful and has the power to destroy heaven and earth. Buzan shouted loudly, attached all the chakra in the body to the beheading knife in his hand, and there was a powerful water flow on it, and the water was very powerful. In a trance, huge explosions sounded one after another, and spread rapidly towards the surroundings. The winner of this battle was doomed from the very beginning, and no one would be able to beat Uchiha Sasuke no matter what. Zabuzan is a hard-working ninja, and he doesn't have a good background, and he doesn't have any blood inheritance limits. With his hard work day and night, he climbed up bit by bit. But no matter how hard he tries, he still has an upper limit, and he cannot compete with Uchiha, who has the ultimate esoteric power like Susanoo. In the continuous explosions, Zabuzan flew out and fell heavily on a huge branch. In the end, he couldn't withstand Sasuke's attack, and lost consciousness and fell into a coma. Then, Uchiha Sasuke relieved Susanoo and came next to Zabuchi. Great, I still have a sigh of relief. If I kill him, it will be a big trouble. Sasuke heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, Qian Yu had already reached the sky above the forest, passed through countless clouds, and looked down. The first thing Qian Yu saw was the thick black mist, and he soon saw that his subordinates were fighting the enemy. Qian Yu is still not ready to help, anyway, this can be regarded as a test for everyone in Kirigakure. What makes Qian Yu feel strange is that there is an inexplicable sense of familiarity in the aura emanating from the enemies who are fighting with his subordinates. But due to the tightness and invisibility of the black mist, Tian Yu didn't see clearly who those enemies were. Qian Yu put this matter behind him in a short while, probably because these enemies all carried Chuyu's breath, which brought him this feeling. Immediately afterwards, Qian Yu began to search the vast forest extensively, not letting go of any corner, but he still found nothing. After searching, Qian Yu came to the center of the forest, and there was a towering tree at his feet, which was several times thicker and longer than other trees. This tree seems to be abnormal, and I always feel that something is weird. Qian Yu suddenly fell to the ground. After thinking for a while, Qian Yu decided to check it out, stretched out his palm, and slapped it. With just one palm, Qian Yu pushed down the big tree, only to find out that the tree was actually hollow. There is a big tunnel right under the trunk. Finally, let me find your lair. Qian Yu smiled. Immediately, he jumped down the tunnel without hesitation, and fell for more than 10 meters until he came to a closed room. At the end of the secret room is a spiral staircase, which leads to a deeper underground. It is pitch black and you can't see your fingers. I said why it's so hard to find, so I hid the base camp so deep underground, no wonder I couldn't find it. Qian Yu suddenly realized. Qian Yu continued to walk down the stairs. After walking for an unknown amount of time, he finally came to the end. In front of him was a big iron gate with 4 gold-plated ministers engraved on it, underground car hall. This Chuyue also built a palace, but I will destroy it for you soon. Qian Yu stretched out his hands and quickly pushed open the door. The door was very heavy, but it was completely trivial to Qian Yu. He pushed it open calmly, and the light inside shone out instantly. However, Qian Yu showed an extremely disappointed expression in the next second, because he couldn't see half of the figure where he looked, and it was very empty.